Good morning and welcome to our 165th weekly webcast. We're in our fourth year of doing this. If this is the first time you're joining us, welcome. If you've been with us before, welcome back. And so the way this call works is this is an AMA. You can ask me anything. You can ask me business questions. You can ask me career questions, personal questions, anything you want. And I humbly want to help you in any way I possibly can. Now, I have a special event tomorrow, December 10th at 11 a.m. Pacific time. And it's an event called How to Sell Anything. I'll teach you how to sell a product, a service, yourself, get informational meetings so you can get what you want in your career or you want to close a sale. I'll teach you all the tricks I got. Yeah. I'm an old man. I've been around for a while, so I can teach you all my best tricks. Now, if you want to attend the event, what you can do is, let me just clear the bottom of my screen here. Just go to this website here, haroonventures.com/sell anything. Here we go. Okay. And there's no registration required. All you do is you just click right here, which will take you to the YouTube video that's going to be live tomorrow when I teach you how to sell anything. Yeah. Also, if you're interested in our third one-year gold and platinum program, which starts on January 10th in 32 days, click this link here. If you're interested, that is. Yeah. And for tomorrow's web class, I also have a number of workbooks that we're going to go through, a lot of exercises with the goal of helping you sell much, much better. All right, let me get to full screen mode here, and I'll leave this on the bottom here as well. Oh, one more thing I want to mention, actually. Hold on a second. If you're interested in my MBA program and you're not sure if you want to do the gold or platinum version, you can book a one-on-one call with me as well. They're short 10-minute calls. But again, only if you're interested in buying gold or platinum and you have additional questions, you can click right here to set up a meeting with me. And so I got a bunch of meetings tomorrow as well as the 20th, 21st, and then early next year as well. Yeah. This is vacation time for me here. Yeah. All right, let me get back to full screen here and get your questions. All right, cool. So first up, I got Michael Young. Michael, how are you? So Michael wrote, hi, Chris. Selamat pagi, which is good morning in Indonesian. Good morning to you as well. And I taught a course called the Complete YouTube course with Sasha Stevenson, who I think is the #1 or #2 YouTuber now in Indonesia. So check it out if you're interested. Yeah. Good morning to you as well. And Michael wrote, wish me luck. I'm having an interview on next Tuesday at one of Indonesia's biggest banks as an IT trainee. Excellent. Well, best of luck to you. Best of luck. And if you want, join me tomorrow, because what I'm doing tomorrow is I'm teaching how to sell anything, including how to sell yourself in an interview. And I promise you my methodologies work. They work, yeah. And send me a message to support@haroonventures.com, and I'll give you my my complete job course for free as well. And if you want, Michael, what I can do is I can actually interview you right here over Zoom if you want. It'll be kind of like an informational meeting if you want. Yeah, but best of luck to you. Okay, next up I got Nick. Nick, how are you? Let me just get rid of my propaganda on the screen. There we go. Smaller propaganda. Next up I've got Nick, who wrote, hey Chris, quick question. What do you think of the smart assistants? Which is better, Google or Alexa? I've got her in my office here. Do you believe in the spying conspiracy stuff? Yeah, I don't. I think Google is a very ethical company, and I think Apple is too with Siri. Amazon, there's so many checks and balances in place. I don't think they're doing anything nefarious, to be honest. But I absolutely love them. So I use Alexa all the time. So when I'm getting ready in the morning, this is what I do. Alexa, what's today's Wall Street Journal news?
From the Wall Street Journal.
So it runs through.
Here's your morning brief for Thursday, December 9th.
Alexa, stop. It's fantastic. I love it. I have Alexa as well to read me my books, to set up my appointments. I have SIRI. I have to spell it out or she'll talk. To actually read me my texts and all that stuff. I think they're great. I think they're amazing. Yeah. In terms of the spying stuff, I'm not a conspiracy guy. Yeah. But I have heard people say that. I'm a little bit more worried about people hacking into these things and using cameras. Yeah. But I have confidence in Apple's security. I do. And Apple's privacy measures that they threw into their latest iOS operating system, that there aren't many security issues that are going to get to us. I trust Apple. I do. Yeah. Yeah. And I love the fact that a lot of tech companies missed earnings because Apple cracked down on privacy issues too. Yeah. All right. Next up, and I don't believe in hiring an assistant. I've always done my own meetings myself. I use Calendly. I use software process automation for everything. Yeah. Okay. Next up, I've got Hashem, who wrote, "Hi Chris. Hey man. Do you have any tips on how I could ask someone for a recommendation letter? Thanks." Yeah. Yeah. A lot of times, people are somewhat lazy to write these things. So what I would do is I'd preface it with this. I would say, I would ask them, please, if you have time, can you please write me a recommendation letter? I can draft an outline for you and you can make your changes if you want to. Yeah. That's what I would do. Yeah. And ask them in person as well, if you can, rather than over email. Yeah, do it in person. It's harder for them to say no. Yeah. All right. And I write recommendation letters for my students after they graduate from my program. I'll show you. So if we go to LinkedIn here, and it's a pleasure to write people recommendations too. So if we go here to Dion, Dr. Dion Vernon, who's one of my students, actually my MBA program. And by the way, you have to get like 10 or 15 recommendations written on your LinkedIn profile if you want to massively increase the chance of you getting a job. And I'll show you a quick little preview here of what it looks like. So if I go down here to, here it is here, received, here we go. They're easy to write, right? And LinkedIn recommendations are much easier because they're usually pretty shorter than a full recommendation letter. Yeah. Now, I want to show you how recommendations can help you raise money or get a job. Okay, so there's this guy named Mohit Aaron, great guy, and he is the founder and CEO of a company called Cohesity. So Sequoia led the Series A. In my previous firm, we led the Series B, and I was on the board till I left to start this company. And when I was doing due diligence on Mohit, when we were deciding whether or not to invest, I looked at his profile, of course, but what was most impressive to me was all the recommendations he has here. Okay, so he had tons of recommendations, and we invested back in, it was 2015, so he had about 20 at that point. And it doesn't cost you anything to get these recommendations. And if you're not sure if you can ask your boss or if you've never worked before, you can ask your teacher, or you can ask your classmates or your coworkers even, I promise you. If you don't, this is an easy way to humbly brag about yourself because other people are bragging on your part. But if you don't remind people of your accomplishments through recommendations like that on LinkedIn, then they'll never know. Yeah. All right, give me a second here. All right. Next up, I've got Marios, who wrote, "Hello, Chris. Nice to be here. Welcome. Great to see you." I've got Jared, and my brother-in-law's name is Jared as well. My little sister Elizabeth met this wonderful man named Jared, who runs this rehab center down in Louisiana. He's a rock star. He's great. Okay. So Jared wrote here, what can you tell us about how to start an app? Yeah. So I think the best thing to do is to take courses from Dr. Angela Yu. She's probably the best teacher on the internet right now. She's amazing. Her ratings are insanely high. Amazing. And I met her too. She's awesome. She's dope. So if you go to udemy.com and you do a search for Angela Yu, and she used to be a doctor in the United Kingdom, and she figured out she's more passionate about teaching, and she's great at this. Yeah. All right. And so it's just a matter of time till she has more students than anybody. I promise you, it's going to happen. But go right here, and she has a course on how to create apps. Okay, and look at these ratings. I'm telling you, like there's no way no way I can ever get ratings these high. I don't know how she does it, right? She's thorough. She's funny as well. So take this course. I promise you it's worth it. It's worth it. Even if you have no tech experience at all, she explains everything from scratch and makes it fun as well. So that's what I would do. I would check it out. And if you don't have time to do that and you just want somebody to create kind of a wireframe diagram of what an app might look like, you can always go to fiverr.com. Okay, and somebody can make an app for you on the cheap here. So you just type iOS app, and they supposed to start at $5, but now it's starting at $4.90 now. Yeah. It's called Fiverr.com because you're supposed to pay $5 for stuff here, but clearly they've raised the prices. And I visited this company's headquarters in Tel Aviv before. They're great. Yeah, but what I would do is find people that have at least 100 ratings. And then click on the product here that they're trying to sell, and then just try to get them to create an iOS app for you. Or what you can do is you can get a much cheaper, just a wireframe outline of what your app might look like. Do a search on wireframe here. You'll find somebody that will do it for you. You can even go to Upwork.com, but that's more expensive. Yeah. But start with Angela Yu. She's great. Okay. My air conditioning broke down here, so I got the windows open. Yeah, it's tough for all these bright lights too. It gets kind of hot in here. All right, and by the way, in tomorrow's webcast, what I'm going to do is I'm also going to teach you how to sell over Zoom, how to set up a perfect Zoom call, cosmetics to use, and everything as well. And when it comes to cosmetics, a lot of guys are like, I don't get it, Chris. Why do guys wear cosmetics? Well, you have to if you got really bright lights, and in all the movies they do this as well in television shows. So before somebody goes on the air and they're interviewing television, I've done it before. They come up to you and they put powder on you. So you order this powder here, and it stops you from shining. Yeah, I've put lots on my nose because I've got the biggest nose ever. Right? Yeah. So I use this as well as when it comes to Zoom as well. What I do is I use this sometimes if I didn't get much sleep. I didn't sleep much last night, but it's all good. I love what I do. This is called L'Oreal Men's Expert Hydra Energetic, and it's got caffeine in it. You put it under your eyes, it gets rid of your bags. Yeah. You should have seen me 10 minutes ago before I put this on. The last thing I want to recommend is if you sound like if you sound tired or you lose your voice, you can get a product called Vocal Zone. Especially before you go to an interview or you're about to do a Zoom meeting and you're not feeling that great. Maybe you're losing your voice a bit, which happens to me. You can try this product. It works a lot. And in tomorrow's event, I'm going to teach you ton more tips on how to create an amazing presence in a Zoom meeting to impress the person that you're meeting with, because you never get that second chance to make a great first impression. Okay. All right. Let me get rid of that. All right, next. Oh, Andrew, how are you? Andrew Dupree, great to see you, brother. So Andrew is from California. He lives in Toronto with his family. His son is the #1 basketball prospect now in Canada. And great guy. He was actually my first student in my MBA program, which I started a couple of years ago. And we're starting our 3rd year. It's hard to believe. And if you guys are interested in learning more, go here as well, that web address. Great to see you, brother. Great to see you. And Andrew wrote, I'm looking forward to tomorrow. And then you wrote, will tomorrow's video be accessible later? Oh, yeah. I'll leave it up there. I leave almost everything up forever. So you can always watch it. And if the link doesn't work, just let me know. Thanks. All right. Great to see you, man. I hope your business plan's going well, too. Okay, next up, Azor Alina wrote, good morning, Chris, from Ontario, Canada. How is Project Magu doing? Good morning to you as well. I'm a 905er. That's my area code. I'm from Mississauga, Ontario, which has a bigger population than San Francisco. Most people don't realize that. So Project Magu, it's going well. It's going well. So I'll show you what we've done so far. So if I go to Project, I just got off of Chrome, because Chrome is a disaster, man. Google Chrome, there's if you do Control-Delete on Windows, or you go to Activity Monitor on a Mac and you're using Chrome, you'll see that there's tons of little applications called Google Chrome Helper that slow your computer down a lot. So I'm using Safari now. Yeah. So I went there this past summer with my son. We had so much fun to meet with Vital. who's one of my students. I met him at a Udemy conference back in 2019 when I met Angela Yu as well. And so we purchased the land. So I donated money, whatever, and a lot of my proceeds from my courses, my MBA program, go towards charitable stuff like this. So we bought the land from 8 different families, and Vital, who's right here he is here. I met him at a Udemy event in Berlin a couple of years ago. What he's been doing is he's been coaching the families that we bought the 8 plots of land from on how to manage their money. He's very worried that they might spend it on a big car or something that won't go up in value. So he's teaching them how to invest. So we bought the eight pieces of land. We're putting it together. Right here, it's kind of tough to see, but that's Vital's house he grew up in, and we bought that as well. Yeah, and so it's going well. It's going well, and that's my son Andrew. He had the kids laughing so hard because he was showing them Snapchat filters. Yeah. So we bought the land. We've started digging. We're building the first building now. Hopefully we'll have it ready soon. I really hope that this new COVID outbreak, which apparently started in Botswana, then spread to South Africa and other African countries and all over the world now, I really hope that it doesn't slow down our performance here. Yeah. But it's taking a bit longer than I thought because of COVID. Even when I went there this summer, there were so many COVID checks I had to go through. But they're working on it now. We took the first dig here as well. So, and then next year, what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a school with Marin Koros, who's one of my amazing MBA students in Kenya, in honor of her late mother, who's looking down upon her, smiling from heaven, of course. And then I've got Nigeria the year after that with Keme Tade, who's one of my other amazing MBA students. And she graduates this year. So she lives in Ontario as well. She's actually in Ottawa now. She's from Nigeria originally, moved to the UK. Now she lives in Ottawa. She's amazing. And it's unbelievable what she's done because she's kind of reinvented herself to be a venture capitalist. And Y Combinator has reached out to her as well as other incubation and venture capital firms to have her present to teach the startups on how to raise money and run their companies. And if you're curious about learning more, you can go right here and watch a presentation that she was in. It was just incredible. She's amazing. Yeah. All my students are amazing. Okay. All right. And Andrew wrote, "What products are the most or the best to sell today?" Yeah. I think the best thing you can sell or the best company you can start is anything that you can scale quickly to the extent that there's no inventory. And so the best companies in the world, the ones I love to invest in, have invested in my entire life, are platforms. Okay, so if you create a platform company and you own the roads, you can charge the cars. And so Airbnb, of course, is a platform. They don't own a single hotel. Uber is a platform. They don't own a single taxi. Facebook is a platform, of course. They don't create any content themselves, right? So I think creating any sort of platform-based business where your customers populate the platform and you can charge them longer term works. Yeah. But the key is to create a company where it doesn't cost you anything to make the product. That's why I love to teach online, because it's infinitely scalable. Okay. Next up, Lionel wrote, "Good morning. Good morning to you too as well. Hope you're doing well." Alex wrote here, "Chris, what is the brand of the chair you had? I need to find one that I can sit for long hours. Thanks." Yeah. So I had, it's a Herman Miller chair. And I don't have a chair in my office anymore. And the reason I don't is because earlier this year, I got a couple people commenting that I sound tired. And so I thought to myself, I have to reinvent myself. I got to create Chris 2.0. So what I did was I got rid of my chair. There's no chair in my office, but it was a Herman Miller, which are the best. Yeah, they're great. They're great. But what I do now is I actually, I get at least 20,000 steps in this room every single day while I'm working. And I'll turn on my treadmill right now just to show you what it's like. And I've got this desk, which is amazing. I just got this new one. It's 8 feet wide. It's huge. Yeah. And it's great because when I teach, I use a lot of props. And so I have tons of props here as well. I was teaching about statistics and normal probability recently, so I use this prop here. But I walk while I work. And I know it sounds kind of out there, but it really helps me to focus. And you know, the best time of day to do work or to study is usually the morning when you first wake up. But I find that throughout the day, we tend to fade and we're not as productive. Like if you try to study for 8 hours at night, it doesn't work and it's less productive than 1 hour in the morning. And so when you're exercising while you're studying or while you're working, what happens is you get a lot of oxygen in your heart and you can think much clearer and it feels like you just woke up all day long. And so that's how I humbly feel like I put in 5 days of work in a single day just by doing this. Yeah. So I've got the cheapest treadmill on the market. It's cheap because there's no bars around. It's just on the ground here. But this is how I get my steps in. Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. And I think I've gotten about 15 million steps on this stepper here thing too over the past 2 years. Alexa, what's 20,000 times 365 times 2?
20,000 times 365 times 2 is 14.6 million.
Yeah, a lot of steps. So at least 20,000 steps every single day here, which helps me a lot. What I also find helps, and I do this during my meetings as well. I walk. It's just what I do. And I learned from Steve Jobs actually because he used to go for a walk every day at 1 p.m. And he'd go by himself. Sometimes he'd go with his best friend, Larry Ellison, the founder of Oracle. And what he found is that while he was walking, he was able to come up with incredible new ideas because you're releasing endorphins as well. Yeah. Yeah. So I find that helps a lot. Yeah. All right. All right, give me 1 second here. All right, next up, questions from PV. Hey, PV, first time I've seen you here. Welcome, I hope you join us again. So PV wrote, hello, sir. Call me Chris, please. I'm Peru, Verma, and I'm 14 years old. Oh, great. I've never had somebody this young on the call, but welcome. I hope you join us again. I've got a 15-year-old son named Matthew. So you wrote, I'm 14 years old, and I've got an idea to make an electric, which would work for 20 to 30 years without charging, but I'm from middle-class family. Can you please help me find investment for it? Yeah. Tell you what I'll do is this. Send me an email to support@haroonventures.com. And what I'll do is I'll give you my business plan course for free. And I think it's like 8 or 9 hours long. And it'll walk you through how to create a business plan from scratch, even if you have no finance experience. And what you can do is every week you can ask me questions here on this live webcast. I'm happy to humbly help as much as I can. Yeah. But within that course, there's 50 templates for a business plan. I teach everything from scratch too. And there's also 25 templates of a 10-page presentation to give to investors to raise money. And it's a lot easier than you think because on those 10 slides, all you need to have are 3 bullet points. Less is more. So if you want, what you can do is send me that email to support@haroonventures.com. Take the course, write the business plan the best you can, and then ask me questions every week here, and I'll help you for free forever. Yeah. I love it, though. I love it. And it's good for the environment, what you're doing as well. Yeah. My first company, I think I was around your age, and I was a bit younger, was I would enlarge baseball cards and hockey cards into big posters like this, and I'd sell them for $10 each. I'd color photocopy them. Yeah. That's a copyright issue, but I lived in Canada then. I was protected under the Young Offenders Act. They can't get me. Yeah. All right. Next up, Lionel wrote, Chris, what are your thoughts on my IPO? Yeah, let me know which IPO you're talking about in general. I get a lot of questions about SPACs versus IPOs as well. And if you're curious about any business topic, you can always go to my website, which is harooneducation.com. And up here in the top, what you can do is you just type up anything, like, for example, SPAC. And I've answered more than 10,000 questions on the air in the past couple of years, including Q&A sessions with my MBA students where I've done hundreds of hours. And so if you search on anything here, you'll see my thoughts on SPACs, for example. If you type in for something else, like what is an income statement, I think I have an answer for almost everything now. Yeah. You can scroll down and find out how an income statement works, etc. And you can click here if you're interested in learning more about the income statement by taking my MBA program. And if you've already signed up for my MBA program, you just click here and it takes you directly to that part in the curriculum where I talked about that. Yeah. But I'm happy to do a quick discussion of IPOs if you want to in general. So I participated in the Facebook IPO years ago. And before you, and in my venture capital firm, I had an investment in Facebook as well. But before you invest in any IPO, I want you to read what's called the S1. Okay, and this is an investment offering memorandum made by investment bankers, as well as lawyers. Okay, and it lists all the risks. By law, they have to, right? They have to. And so before investing in any IPO, in any company, please read these things. And the way to get these things here is you go directly to sec.gov. I'll show you. So in most markets in the world, if you want to list on a stock market, you have to actually submit filings to the government, a government website. And you and I have access to this for free. And no hedge fund or mutual fund has access to this stuff before us. We all get it at the same time. And this is why most mutual funds underperform ETFs, and they're a scam as well. Yeah, and I can go down that path if you want as well, because their fees are too high. So what you can do is you can go to company filings. You could search here, and they just changed their website here. So I'll enter in the ticker for Facebook. Here it is here. It's called Meta now. All right. And what you can do is you can look through all the filings here on the company before you invest in anything. So you just do a search on the S1. It's here. The 10K is the annual report. The 10Q is a quarterly report. And an 8K means an important press release, like they're reporting earnings or something, or making an acquisition that might move the needle and change their earnings outlook. So before you ever invest in any IPO, please go and look at the S1 filing and read it cover to cover. And if you're reading it and there's something you don't understand from a finance perspective or qualitative perspective, just ask me here in this week. I'm here to humbly help. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, I have got Manas. Hey, Manas, how are you, Ben? Manas is from India. Great guy. He's published a number of courses on Udemy recently. He also published a book called Bonds Before Business, which I have, and it's great. It's in my props room over here. And for any of you that really want to impress people in an interview or meeting with a customer, what you can do is you can write a book. And it's so much easier than you think. And I'll show you how for free. So all you do is you go to haroonventures.com. And I say Haroun Education sometimes. They all forward to the same URL. So haroonventures.com/write-book. And so my first book I wrote, I used a template I'm about to provide you with. Okay. And so all you do is you click here. I don't ask for your email or anything. And you download this template. And it's Microsoft Word based. And on the front of the first page here, I put the instructions on how to publish on Amazon Kindle, as well as Amazon's paper product, as well as Audible, which is acx.com. And I tell you where to go to get a nice cover as well made for it. And please support this person here, UltraCon22. She's from Bangladesh. She's been amazing. She's made the covers of all my books. So this template here, it's 6 inches by 9 inches. And all you do is you fill it in Microsoft Word or Google Docs, whatever. And then you just you right-click here on the table of contents and repaginate. So all the work is done for you. All you got to do is just fill it in. And if you think this is too much work to do, then just think about how one meeting can change your life, to the extent that if you write a book and you go to an interview or you meet with a customer and you give them your book, you're going to impress them. Who does that? You got to ask yourself, how badly do you want that job? And what I recommend doing is think of yourself like a thought leader. It's like the Rodin sculpture, I think, therefore I am. And I want you to write a lot about whatever it is you're most passionate about. And so what I did was I wrote about 100 articles on LinkedIn every week for 2 years. And I wrote about business lessons from business icons. And then what I did was I took all of those articles I wrote on LinkedIn and I just pasted them into this thing here. And it was really easy to make this. And yeah, I'm humbled to say that Forbes called this book one of 6 books all entrepreneurs need to read right now, along with Peter Thiel's book, Simon Sinek's, that sort of thing as well. Yeah, but it's easy to do. And it gets lonely sometimes when you do social media stuff and you don't get very many clicks or likes. But you got to understand, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And longer term, we're all going to look back and say, I wish I created more YouTube content. Because number one, it's fun. Number two, you're helping people. And number three, every video I make, I think of it like a coffee shop franchise that will make money longer term. Yeah. But you got to think with your heart first. Yeah. So whatever you're passionate about, I want you to become a thought leader. And I want you to write an article once a week. Or once a month if you want to, on LinkedIn. And eventually, if you do that enough times, what will happen is you will become thought of as the thought leader. And people will approach you and ask your advice. And the media will approach you as well, which humbly has happened to me as well. No one's going to know about you, though, unless you post a lot of social media content, yeah, especially LinkedIn. And you can repurpose it, too. So what I do is this weekly webcast, this is week 165 now, what I do is I repurpose it as a vlog. Okay, so I have 7 vlogs over the week, and the best 7 questions that my team sees here, and I used to do it all myself, the best 7 questions become vlogs every day. And it's also repurposed as a podcast. I'll show you how to get it. So a lot of people listen to the podcast version of this instead of watching it, but I haven't really marketed it. But if you go to my website, I'll show you where to access the podcast version of this call. So we go here to Haroun Education Ventures. And we go to About Chris. That's how we say it in Canada. It's not about Americans, it's About. And then you go down here to podcast. And then right here, you can access it. Yeah. So anyway, hopefully it's helpful for all of you that don't want to sit here and watch this every week. More people watch the replay of this that are on the live version of the call as well. And we also repurpose all the content through little Instagram video posts, pictures, and that sort of thing. Right? So there's nothing left on the carcass by the time we're done with this weekly call. And that way you work smarter, not harder. And repurposing content is something that Nintendo has been doing for decades. And you'll notice that they're older Mario games from the 8-bit, 16-bit console and Mario 64 as well, which is a great game. They've been repurposed on newer platforms from Nintendo. You know, everything from the Wii, the Wii U to the Switch. Yeah. Okay. So Manas wrote, I'm really enjoying your crypto course. Thank you. Appreciate it. I want to be an affiliate for that. I mailed your team but didn't get any response. Can you help me with that? You're awesome. Thank you. No, God bless you for that. Thank you. Yeah. So email the team again. I'll take a look. We get so many inbounds for business development partnerships and stuff. We can't answer all of them, but I'll actually look for your name myself. Okay. And then what I'll do is I'll send you a link to my Udemy course, and then you can just sell it. And then every time I see it, somebody has sold or somebody's purchased it, I'll cut you a deal. I'll pay you for it. Yeah. Okay. Next up, I got Peter, who is a new student here on this weekly webcast. He's originally from Romania. He's 19, and he's a massive soccer fan, like the real soccer, right? The real football, I should say, like the European version. Yeah. Okay. Great to see you, Peter. All right. Give me 1 second here. All right. So Peter wrote here, I hope you remember me. Of course I remember everybody, all my students. Yeah. Yeah. You all inspire me so much. You wrote, do you think that jobs related to the technology sector, like programming, will still be searched for, let's say, and have big salaries? Yeah, absolutely. So what I usually do when I think of business models or professions, what I do is I think to myself, will this company or this skill be more in demand or less in demand 5 years from now? And it helps you kind of see the forest from the trees when you're looking to invest in a company. Now, when it comes to skills, absolutely programming will be more in demand. Absolutely, without a doubt. And if you want, you can go to udemy.com and do a search on Dr. Angela Yu and take her programming courses. They're great. Yeah. All right. And then Manas wrote, my mentor, Chris, please. If you're working in a company and they offer you a salary in cryptos, would you accept that? Or would you have problems with that, and why? Yeah. It depends on the cryptocurrency. So I think that 95% of all cryptocurrencies are scams. And when I started making that cryptocurrency course, it's like 25 hours or something. When I first started making it, I was bullish, meaning I was positive on cryptos. I was 7 out of 10 positive. And by the time I finished that course and did a ton of research, I was a 3 out of 10. And you'll never, like I have a course that does humbly quite well, but you'll never see me out there selling the course by saying, you have to buy cryptos, you have to buy cryptos. Because the problem with cryptocurrencies is they're not regulated by governments, they're regulated by the laws of mathematics. And so when you invest in an IPO, okay, initial public offering, by law, you have to list all the risks in the investment offering memorandum, the S1, because they're regulated by governments. Cryptocurrencies, there's no S1. You know, sometimes all you can do is read this cryptic 5 to 15 page PDF on just what this company's technology infrastructure is all about, the white paper. And so I created that cryptocurrency course with this in mind. And you'll notice in that cryptocurrency course of mine, the complete cryptocurrency course, what I do is I walk through 49 steps in terms of how to analyze a company or a crypto from scratch. And those 49 steps I pulled out of these S1s. So I've read a gazillion of these things over the years. And so I created that 49-step process so that you can do your own research on cryptocurrencies and decide before investing. But you got to do a lot of research on it. It's kind of like before buying a stock, I always recommend people make a one-page write-up on the stock. And the same thing with businesses. Failing to plan is plan to fail. You always write a full business plan before you start a company. Most people don't do that. Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah. So when it comes to being paid in cryptos, if it's Bitcoin or Ethereum, I guess it makes sense because I think that those are great cryptocurrencies longer term. But you got to worry about the volatility as well. Like what El Salvador is doing, making Bitcoin their official currency, is I think it's a little bit fiscally irresponsible to kind of experiment with that. I think they should have done somewhat of a hybrid approach, half their currency, half Bitcoin. Yeah, I just be careful because it's very, very volatile. Yeah. Or if you're going to do that, what you can do, if you're going to take Bitcoin, for example, as your salary, is you can buy puts, okay, on Bitcoin or ETF-based cryptocurrency funds. And to learn more about that, you can take my complete options course, which I released recently. Yeah. All right. All right, next up, Tipu. Hey, Tipu, good to see you. I've never seen you before on the call. I hope you join us again. So Tipu wrote, good day, sir. Chris, please, how are you? I'm great, thank you. I'm great. And then you wrote, some days before I comment on your videos about your Udemy course about the language problem. Okay, yeah. And let me scroll down and see more details on that. Can you offer your course in Hindu or Urdu? I do, and I give it for free. And I'll show you. Okay, so if we go here to my, let's go to my LinkedIn profile. So what I did was, COVID was much worse in India than any other country in the world at a certain point. I think it was like earlier this year. Yeah, things are getting better though. But if you go to my profile here, and you scroll over on LinkedIn, here it is here. So I gave this away for free. Okay, so it's my entire it's called an entire MBA in one course. It's 8 hours long. Okay, and it's it's the Hindi version. Yeah, so you can check this out if you want to. Again, it's free, and the reason I made it free was back then I was really worried about my students in India, which is 11% of my students globally. So you can click here and take this for free. Yeah, yeah. So it's translated as well, and it's this is embarrassing. I got to be transparent as always with you. But when I first published this course and I got all of the captions, I thought they made a mistake because there's no spaces between the T's. I'm so dumb. So I put a little space between all the top parts here of the characters, and my students were so polite. They reached out to me and they said, "Sir, do you realize that this is not correct?" So it is correct now. Yeah. But anyway, check it out if you want to. Yeah. Thank you. All right. And on Udemy, actually, they have captions in many different languages. Auto captions are done. Yeah. And I hope that answered your question, Tipu. If it did not, please let me know. And you mentioned you reached out to me multiple times before. I get so many inbounds. I'm so sorry. I just can't. We can't answer every single message. But I do apologize for that. And that's why I do these weekly calls as well, is to humbly help as much as I can. Okay. Next up, I got, hey, Myron, how are you? You wrote, hi, Chris, good to be here. And I mentioned your wonderful mother who's looking down from heaven, so proud of you earlier today. I'm glad you're on the call. Yeah. So I went over to Project Magu. And so Myron and I are going to build one of our next schools in Kenya in honor of her mother. Yeah, so that's Myron's mother. And the funny thing is that I remember it was the only reason I know you, Myron, and Myron's in my Platinum MBA program. The only reason that I know you is because I think it was like a year ago or so, somebody came on this webcast with the name Jackie Haroun, which is my mom's name, and made a comment about my eyebrows. It was kind of a bizarre comment, and I'll get back to that in a second. And then Myron left a comment about that, something along the lines of, "It's so great to have to see your mom come on this webcast." And then you mentioned what happened to your mother, God bless her. And then we connected, and you guys are going to love Myron's business model when she lets me interview her on my weekly. It's incredible. I love it. But what I did was I called my mom. I was like, "Mom, that's so cool. You came on my webcast." And my mom said, "I don't know what you're talking about." And I said, "Well, didn't you make this comment?" She goes, "No, that wasn't me." So somebody pretended to be my mom, but rather than getting upset about it, I guess the Lord works in mysterious ways, and I'm glad you're part of this now too. And it's been an honor getting to know you, and I'm looking forward to meeting your father, Samson, when I go to Kenya with you to build the school. Yeah. Okay. I'm thinking we charge the students $50K each per year, though, right? No, I'm totally kidding. I've got the worst dad humor ever. My dad humor is so bad, guys. I did this this 2-day option seminar last Friday, Saturday, where I taught you my options course in 20 hours over 2 days. And I had this one joke in it. And let me just shut that curtain here. A little bit of light's getting in. Again, my air conditioning is down. I was talking about how buying future contracts, futures, what happens is people like to sell and buy wheat. And the example I gave was General Mills, ticker GIS, which is the company that makes this product. They wanted to buy wheat for Wheaties. And then what I said was, I showed this example, which I got off eBay, and this is from 2012. And Michael Phelps, who won 65 gold medals, was on the cover. And then I mentioned that they took him off the cover, which is true. In 2012, they took him off the cover because he was caught doing weed. And so I said, if I worked at General Mills, I probably would have said, let's keep him on the cover, and we'll say this: winners don't do drugs, champions do. Weed. Sorry. I know my jokes are awful. Laugh at me, not with me is always the place. All right. Okay. Next up, PV said, "Thank you, sir. You're most welcome. You're most welcome." Yeah. I want to help you. But I don't want you to spend any money on your business plan at all. Okay, and that goes for everybody in this call. If unless you have a ton of money, I don't want you to invest in your own company. I want you to get high net worth investors to do it. And we can all find high net worth investors to invest in our companies. And I'll teach you how to sell yourself in tomorrow's webcast if you want to join us. It's free. You don't have to register. You don't have to give me your name. Just go to that web address down here. And then join me tomorrow. It'll be fun. Yeah. All right. And it's kind of a precursor for a course I'm going to make next year on how to sell. Right. So this is just kind of a high-level overview of what that course might be about. Yeah. Okay. Let me get rid of that. And if I miss anybody's question, please just paste it again. And please know that if you put it in a hyperlink, YouTube strips it out so I can't see it at all. Yeah. I do have senior moments, so I miss questions. Sorry. All right. Next up, Marios wrote, I can recall this that you said about endorphins and releasing and thinking better when you exercise. I saw it in your Udemy course related to YouTube video making. Very nice course. Really, thank you. No, I appreciate it. And I have a free course on Udemy as well on how to vlog. So search for that one if you want. And that course was fun to make. I made it in a day, and I kept it real. There's hardly any editing. I just walked around Barcelona. My kids were at the beach, and I just walked around one day in the city when I was there on vacation. And I recorded myself doing vlogs. So check it out. It's called How to Vlog. It's free. Yeah. It was fun. And I write a lot of my best content when I'm overseas. So I don't know. When I'm in different environments, I'm more creative. Like this options course I released recently, the complete options course. What I did was I wrote a lot of it when I was in Rwanda and when I was on the flight to Rwanda and back. I love working on planes because there's no distractions. Yeah. There is internet, but it's slow. Okay. So Olivier is saying a pre-IPO service. Yeah. Tell me the name of it if you want, and I'll look it up and I'll give you my real-time analysis here. It's tough investing in companies pre-IPO because what's usually happening is there's secondary shares that are being sold by insiders. Okay, and if you get common shares, then you can get massively diluted. You want to get preferred shares, and the difference is this. And when you think of the names, it makes sense. Preferred shares, common shares, preferable. So preferred shares, you can't get diluted as much. Common shares is the lowest of the low. You can get diluted a lot. Yeah. And sometimes these companies you invest in pre-IPO are very illiquid as well. Yeah. But let me know the service first, please. Yeah. Okay. And if you want to invest in shares in a private company, it's kind of bureaucratic, but a lot of times the way it works, at least what I've done in the past, is you have to get board approval, right? So I invested in Palantir when it was private in my venture capital fund, and we had to get approval from Peter Thiel, and because we were buying shares from somebody else, and the dilution wasn't that bad. And so there's something called a ROFR, R-O-F-R, which stands for right of first refusal. And so you have to get permission from the board to be able to buy those secondary shares. There's a lot of legal stuff involved too, but let me know the website and I'll humbly help if I can. Yeah. I'm not a lawyer though. Okay. Next up, Manas wrote, my mentor, are we going to see, Chris, please, are we going to see a Haroun education NFT? If yes, what would it be? Would it be on OpenSea or Rarible or somewhere else? Yeah. All right, I'm going to teach you guys how to sell, okay? All right, here we go. Ask me how to sell this pen. Thank you. Okay, this is how you sell. I sell you this pen. Ready? Here we go. It's an NFT. That was my mic drop moment. Sorry. Yeah, NFT is a massive bubble. At some point, maybe what I'm more interested in, Manas, is the metaverse or Internet 3.0. And so for a couple of years, I've been thinking about how I can create content for the metaverse. And so what I will be doing, there's a character named Tony Shark in some of my videos, some of my courses, and he created this VR headset. And so I'm thinking about longer term creating a metaverse version of my MBA degree program where you can go all over the world and communicate with other people as well, kind of like World of Warcraft circa 2005. Yeah, it's something I've been thinking a lot about. Been working with Adobe Dimensions, the Unreal Engine, which is way over my head, but I'm trying. It's something I'm strategizing for. Yeah. Yeah. And it's kind of like if you think of my courses, they're like the old version of a Mario game. It's two-dimensional. But the metaverse version of my courses MBA program is going to be like Mario 64. Like it's going to be more 3D based as well with a headset. But I'm still working on how I'm going to do it. Yeah. Yeah. And I've got Oculus. I've got all the VR products, and they're not there yet. They're not there yet. Like Oculus is, it's gimmicky. It's fun, but it's not a game changer yet. Yeah. And I don't know where Sony is in all this, because they just had their 5-year anniversary of the PlayStation VR, which is the best VR product out there. I've tried them all. I got them all. They haven't made a new version yet. I hope it's coming out soon, right? Because I think Sony could own this market if they do it right. Yeah. And even Microsoft, they bought this company called HoloLens. And it's a VR product that they were supposed to give to consumers. And they decided that, no, it's too expensive. So they made it $3,000, and it's more for industrial purposes or robotic surgery or virtual surgery, like Intuitive Surgical's product. ISRG is the ticker of that one. Yeah, yeah. But I do think that if it weren't for COVID, we wouldn't really be talking about the metaverse right now. I think with COVID and the whole WFH or work from home, the whole initiative, I think people are going to start focusing more so on advanced technologies for educational purposes from home. Yeah. So COVID kind of brought forward my vision of the future by 20 years or so. Yeah. With crisis comes opportunity. Yeah. And I pray every day, man, that we get past this awful, awful COVID point in human history. Yeah. Okay. And I've not got the booster shot, but I got both of the Pfizer shots. Yeah. All right. And MT wrote, yeah, bro. Hey, man, how are you? Okay. All right, next up. And then MT wrote, why is Tesla stock suddenly gained after it fell the next day when Elon said to sell his 10% shares? Yeah. So there were just tourists in the stock. Like there's a lot of short-term investors that are renting Tesla. They're renting growth stocks, and they panic at the worst time. And Warren Buffett said the New York Stock Exchange is the only store in the world where consumers sell stuff when it goes on sale. So I think it just purged the tourists from the stock. I own it. I've owned it forever. I'm not selling ever. Yeah. I think it's a great company. Yeah. All right. All right. Next up. Also, it doesn't hurt that the interest rates are still zero. Right. So basically, when interest rates are low, it forces people to not save money in the bank. If interest rates are high, like they were in the early 80s when they were 20%, people keep their money in the bank and make 20%. They're not going to buy stocks. But when interest rates are zero, which they are today, it kind of forces you to be a risk investor. And that's why Apple's market cap is $3 trillion. Unbelievable. Yeah. But once rates rise, and they will, the markets will pull back quite a bit. Yeah. But nobody can time these things. All right. Next up, Mike wrote, hi, Chris. I just started your options course. Great course. Thank you. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah. I poured my heart into it, dude. I tell you, I use a lot of props when I teach, but I use more, and I was teaching Monte Carlo simulation for options and how you have to think like a casino to do well with options. I've never used as many props as I did in that course. And I even teach you statistics from scratch in the course in a fun way. That's an abnormal distribution there, yeah. Thank you. I hope you enjoy it. And I was sad when it was over, man. 'Cause I was so into that course. I loved it. I love it. Yeah. Okay. And I don't think it's like that's the hardest course I've ever made because options is the most complicated thing to teach. And I got humbly the top grade in my class at Columbia when I did my MBA in finance in options, the options course. And it was so theoretical. I didn't really know how to use that crap when I graduated. And then I worked at a big hedge fund called Citadel, and we used a lot of options there, and I kind of figured it out. And so I pride myself, and my biggest sense of joy and passion is teaching complicated things in an easy way. But teaching in a way so that it's intuitive and fun, and we don't memorize stuff, we understand. Because when we understand something, we never forget it. Like I got a D in accounting the first time I took it when I was an undergrad at McGill University. It was 1990 or 1991. And I got a D because I was memorizing accounting instead of trying to understand it. And so I took it again. I got a little bit better in a D. But you got to understand stuff. And I teach you how to understand mathematical concepts and much more in my courses. And by the way, this year is I got this new product. I'm a tech nerd, as y'all know. It's called the Oura Ring. And it's got sensors inside it. And it monitors my sleep, my heart rate, and all that stuff. And the battery lasts for I think it's like a week or so. I'm not sold yet. I'm not sure. I got 2 weeks to give it back, but it comes. There's an app for it called Oura, and it will actually monitor. See if I can pull this off here. It monitors, of course, your heart rate and all that stuff, sleep. It also monitors, and it's syncing now with the ring. When it monitors my sleep, it monitors my REM, rapid eye movement as well. I dream a lot. It's fun. Sometimes I look forward to going to sleep for my dreams are fun. But here, my sleep last night, my sleep efficiency was 92%. My resting heart rate was 62 beats per minute. Total sleep, 7 hours and 7 minutes. I try to get 8 usually. And then here, and this is a problem. I can't understand this, but I talked to my doctor about it. But since I got this product, all of my sleep qualities are great except for deep sleep, right? Deep sleep is low. I don't know what the issue is there. But this is part of the QS movement, quantified self movement. Yeah. Yeah. So, and it will tell you also whether or not you should be exercising, right? So today it's kind of hinting maybe I shouldn't. But I tend to overdo all the exercise stuff. All right. Next up, Manas wrote, Polygon is gaining market and is going to be as big as Ethereum. What are your thoughts on this? And do you think the same? Yeah. I haven't done much work on it. The 4 cryptos I own and have owned forever and will never sell are as follows. And I publicly disclosed this before. And please do your own research, everybody, first. So I own Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and Ripple. Yeah. And no, I didn't sell any Ripple. Yeah. All right. But in the course you're taking, you can go through and create your own investment prospectus based on the analytical tools I provide you with. And I'm getting some questions about from my MBA students about the option stuff. So for all of you that have bought my MBA program in the past, meaning silver, gold, platinum, I added all 30 hours of the options curriculum as an elective in FA 44, which is Finance and Accounting, semester 4, class number 4. It's in the curriculum. Yeah. And I'll do that from now on, always for my MBA students. You always get everything I make for free. Yeah, new stuff. Okay. All right, next. Hey, Rose, how are you? So Rose graduated from my MBA program last year as a platinum student. She's from Virginia. She's great. She's awesome. She was the head of the yearbook committee as well last year. This year it's Christina that's doing it. Great to see you, Rose. So Rose wrote, I'm finishing writing my book, and since you've written many, I want to ask you if you use an editor or if you edited the books yourself. Do you have Grammarly? I didn't use an editor. After I published the book, and I got Forbes magazine did that big write-up on it, and other books as well, business books. I was approached by Barack Obama's book editor, the company that publishes books, and they said they wanted to take this and they wanted to sell it on their platform and all that stuff. I went through the math with them. It didn't make sense. So it's $10. They wanted to raise the price to $20, and they also would have given me just $1 per sale and they would own the rights to what's in this book. And so I said, no, forget it. Yeah. So I self-publish. Yeah. And yeah, I know it's hurt. And sometimes, like, even my YouTube channel, like I've never taken endorsements. I get approached all the time. And does it hurt my growth? Yes. But I don't care, because I want to be true to my student always. You know, the second I start taking endorsements from like Microsoft or other companies with banner ads on my website, or, you know, promoting promotions within videos, I put them first and not you, which distorts why I'm doing what I'm doing. Like, you'll notice if you ever go to a video game website like IGN, for example, you'll see that Microsoft's a big advertiser, and they don't really have terrible ratings on games produced by Microsoft Studios, right? There's an inherent bias. Yeah. Okay. But Rose, the grammar, like, people found mistakes and they told me about it. Kind of like with my courses. I always have mistakes in my courses. My wonderful students tell me. But I find that the best way to kind of edit or proofread your book is right before you publish it to acx.com, which is Audible. Right before you publish it, you have to read the book, of course, because if you want to put it on Audible, you have to read it. And when you're reading it, you find mistakes that way. Yeah. Okay, next up, Mike wrote, if somebody was worried about the market and wanted to put their money into cash, where would you put it? Yeah. So I've owned a lot of TIPS. Okay, so what TIPS are they're Treasury inflation protected securities. And what that means is this. So the lowest risk investment on the planet, it is what it is U.S. government debt. Because the United States government is the last company, so to speak, that would go bankrupt. And so U.S. debt, the returns are very, very low because interest rates are zero. But you can buy something called a TIP, right? People call them TIPS, which stands for Treasury Inflation Protected Securities. And so inflation is 6%, so it's gone up more than 6%. So I think it's a good bet. Do your own research on it first. Read the investment offering or the prospectus if you can get it as well first. Yeah. Okay. And when I'm really worried about the markets, like in 2008, my biggest long was gold, GLD. And because I had to put capital to work, the stocks that I bought in '08 were very defensive ones that people are going to buy in a recession, products in a recession like Campbell's Soup. CPB is a ticker. Soup is good food. Or other high dividend yielding companies. Yeah. Basically, you think like Warren Buffett when the market's crashing. Yeah. Meaning you buy value stuff and you short growth. All right. And for those of you if you're not sure what shorting a stock means, I explain it from scratch in my complete options course as well. Yeah. All right. All right, next up, Manas, and if I skip any questions, just enter them again, please. Manas wrote, how do you save taxes on cryptocurrencies? And in general, you're a smart person with tax saving skills that are really helpful in these days. Yeah, I'm not smart at all. Thank you, though. Yeah, I try to fake it till I make it. I'm still faking it. This one is tricky, and I was interviewed on NBC on television about cryptocurrency taxes a couple of years ago. That was me showing off. Okay, I'm just kidding. But I read. I remember I was nervous for that interview, and I read 3 books on taxes, crypto taxes, a couple of days before. So I did a lot of research. It's hard. First of all, declare all your taxes. Right, and in some countries, if you make less than $500 on a side hustle, you don't have to claim it as a taxable event. But if it's over the limit of 500, whatever it is, you got to claim it because the government will find out. And the way they'll find out is they'll subpoena the records from the big exchanges or the wallet companies like Coinbase. And the IRS has done that. They've gone to Coinbase. This was a couple of years ago even. And they had Coinbase send them a list of all customers that at that point made over $20,000 in profit. There's nowhere to hide. And even the precedent is with Swiss banks. You know, back in 2009, like remember Swiss banks, you'd think Swiss bank account, so I can hide my money. No one knows it's there. They do know. And the precedent is back in 2009, the IRS found a loophole and was able to find out which Americans have massive Swiss bank accounts. There's nowhere to hide, especially with digitization. Everything's electronic, right? There's records online. You can't hide. Now, the way to save money on taxes is talk to your accountant first, but you can invest in cryptos in your retirement accounts, right? And it's IRA or whatever the retirement account is called in other countries out there. Talk to your accountant first, because sometimes when you buy an investment or you invest in something, if you don't put it into a retirement account when you buy it, you can never put it in, or it's harder to put in. So talk to an accountant first before you do it. Yeah, and that way you can save money on taxes. Yeah, you could be like Peter Thiel, who he's got between $5 and $10 billion tax free in his IRA. And the way it works in the United States is there's two ways to save money on taxes when it comes to taxable accounts. One way is called the 401k, and it's called different things in different countries. And what that means is you can get close to $19,000 per year, put it into your 401k retirement account, and let it grow tax-free. And then when you want to take the money out, then you pay taxes on it. Right? But a Roth IRA is similar to that, but a little bit different, to the extent that you can put about $6,000 in per year to your Roth IRA, but you pay taxes first. And then you put it in, and then you never pay taxes again when you take it out. Why would you do that? You do that if you think your taxes are going to be much higher, your tax rate is going to be much higher in the future, or if you think that taxes in general are going to be higher in the future. And so what Peter Thiel did was in his Roth IRA, and you can contribute about $6,000 per year to it, he put almost all of his shares in PayPal, the company he co-founded, as well as Palantir, a company he was a lead investor on, in his IRA. And because of that, and he did it up for 0.0001 cent per share. And what happened was, obviously PayPal did incredibly well. It went public, was bought by eBay, then was spun off. And of course, Palantir went public as well, ticker PLTR, I think. And what happened was he was able to sell those stocks once he had a liquidity event, meaning when the companies were public, and not pay taxes. And the problem is, though, that with our tax system also, there has to be a taxable event for you to pay taxes. And so the 400 richest families in the United States, they pay only 23% tax versus the top tax bracket that's close to 40%. And the reason why billionaires don't pay much in taxes, aside from the fact that they hire great tax accountants and move money offshore, but the reason usually is because they don't have taxable events. So Jeff Bezos, if he doesn't sell any shares of Amazon this year, he's not paying taxes. In fact, back in 2007, what happened was Jeff Bezos didn't pay any taxes. And in 2007, he actually claimed on his tax return, this is publicly disclosed, Jeff Bezos claimed on his tax return 4 dependents, his 4 kids. And he got a tax credit of $16,000, $4,000 per kid. Right? And he was a billionaire back then as well, of course. Yeah. So there's got to be some sort of tax reform. And look, I'm a capitalist. Y'all know that. But there's got to be tax reform to the extent that if you have over $1 billion, whatever it is, you should be paying the top income tax bracket. Yeah. So I know Elon Musk would disagree. Yeah. That's why he moved to Texas. Don't mess with Texas. He used to have a house around the corner from me here, too. It's cool. So does Serena Williams. Serena Williams and the founder of Reddit, they were renting a place just 2 or 3 doors down. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Reddit's doing an IPO soon. Okay. All right. Next up, Phuong wrote, hey, Chris, I purchased your course on cryptocurrency. Thank you. And then you wrote, it's awesome. My question is, will cryptocurrency continue expanding in the next few decades? Absolutely. Absolutely. For sure. For sure. Because we can narrow it down to this. Will more currency transactions be digital in the future or fewer? More, of course. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But I do think that it's a bubble right now. Like there are way more cryptocurrencies than there are fiat or paper-based currencies out there now, and a lot of them are garbage. Yeah, yeah. I think they'll keep expanding. Yeah. The only caveat there is in certain countries. Governments might make cryptos illegal because they are the biggest threat to national security. And the reason I say that is because I got my door open there. The reason I say that is because governments can't make enough money from taxes to pay the bills. So what governments do is they sell bonds. And if I'm the government and you're an investor or a consumer, and I sell you a bond, okay, you give me cash in return. Okay, so I take that cash and I use it to build bridges, whatever it might be. And I take some of that money and I put it out of circulation. It's gone. And because there's less supply of money out there, interest rates go up. So government's biggest weapon is the ability, which is called monetary policy, to control interest rates. Now, if more people use cryptos and not their own currencies, and governments weren't able to sell bonds to manipulate interest rates, then countries would go bankrupt. They wouldn't have money to defend themselves, for example. God forbid there's a war. And that's why in a lot of countries, especially command-based economies, the left-wing countries, cryptos are illegal because governments like control. But the fact that in the United States they're regulating cryptos is really bullish for cryptocurrencies because it signals that they're not going to outlaw it. Yeah. All right. All right, next up, Fabrice saying hi. Hey, man, how are you? Good to see you. Nice to, actually, first time I've seen you on the call as well. Pleasure to meet you. I hope you join us again. Thank you. All right, next up, I got Mike Flynn, who wrote, supposedly Donald Trump is creating a new social media platform. Is there any chance that Trump or anyone, for that matter, will seriously challenge Twitter or Facebook? Yeah. I mean, Facebook is too powerful. Facebook is so powerful that 40% of everybody on this planet, 40% of people, use at least one Facebook app every single month. It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah. Twitter is kind of in disarray. They got a new CEO, which was the right call because Jack is kind of focused on too many companies at the same time. Dorsey, that is. I think he's more likely to take share away from Twitter. Yeah. Yeah. Less so from Facebook. Yeah. Yeah. He used Twitter. Trump used Twitter more so as his communication platform than Facebook. Yeah. Yeah. Seriously challenge? I don't know. I don't know because it's tough because basically instead of his total addressable market being the entire United States, his total addressable market is maybe half the United States or less. I don't know. And the reason I say that is because in the United States, there's two political parties, as we know. There's Republicans, which is right-wing, and then there's Democrats, which is less right-wing. Okay. And so you're usually one or the other. For me, I grew up a Republican in Canada. I loved Ronald Reagan. He was my hero standing up to disgusting communism. And then I came to the States. Now I can vote. And I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. It all depends on who the person is. But usually, you're either a Democrat or a Republican. And so with this new service that Trump is going after, he's going after this market here, right? People that think more so like Republicans. And also keep in mind, not everybody that's a Republican will vote for Trump or like him as well. So it's probably less than that. So his total addressable market might only be 30% of the country. I don't know. Maybe it's 40. Who knows? Yeah. So it's definitely a lot smaller. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Next up, Manas wrote, my mentor, Chris, please. I'm on day 21 of vlogging daily. It's so cool. Awesome. Nice. You wrote, you inspire me a lot, and that is why the vlogging has worked and will work for 4 more years every day. Thank you. You're most welcome. You're most welcome. Thank you. And Jacques, thank you for that donation. I appreciate that. I will go straight to Project Magu. God bless you. Thank you. Yeah, vlogging, it's tough, man. Like it's once I commit to something, I see it through. Yeah, and I told my students I would do a weekly webcast forever, and I'd vlog forever, every single day. Right, so it gets lonely sometimes, like especially when you're first starting. You're excited at first doing it. Don't ever give up, brother, ever. Okay, I want you to be a pit bull and a pork chop. Never give up. Have conviction. But it gets lonely. Sometimes you feel like you're screaming into the wind. You might not get too many views, etc. But you just got to keep at it. You just got to keep at it. And the best analogy I can think of is, and I'm gonna make this interactive. Hold on a second. All right. So, and I'll make this a generic comment to apply to everybody, but when you first embark upon a journey, and Lao Tzu said, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. So you have a goal, okay? Whatever your goal is. Maybe it's get 1 million subscribers, I don't know. You have a goal and you're excited, and I can see the top of the mountain. There it is. I'm excited. I'm working towards my goal. And the top of the mountain's getting bigger now because I'm getting closer to it. This is awesome. And then what happens is one day you wake up and you can't see the top of the mountain. What happened to my goal? I can't see the mountain anymore, the top of the mountain. Maybe I'll quit. And so you start wandering this way, and you're like, I don't get it, man. I had this great ambition, my goal, whatever I set years ago, and now I can't see the top of the mountain anymore. What's the point? Just stop and understand. The reason you can't see the top of the mountain is because you're halfway up the mountain. You're getting closer. You're getting closer. Yeah. And just ignore all the naysayers. You know, have the courage to ignore negative people, and you'll make it. You'll make it. You just gotta be a pit bull and pork chop and never give up. And all successful people, you know, they failed a gazillion times, but they never gave a damn what anybody thought of them. You gotta have that conviction. And see, like Mark Cuban said, you only have to be right in business one time. Just keep at it. I promise you, you will reach your goal. Yeah. But also keep in mind that we tend to overestimate what we can accomplish in a year, but we massively underestimate what we can accomplish in a decade. All right. All right, give me 1 second, guys. Sorry. Twitter, YouTube jumps on me sometimes with a question. It drives me cray-cray. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Good. All right. Next up, Jason wrote, greetings from St. Lucia, Chris. Thank you for your time and effort. Looking forward to January. Awesome. Jason, it was a pleasure meeting with you and your son as well. I enjoyed our conversation we had over Zoom. Looking forward to seeing you in the program starting January 10th. God bless you. Thanks. Yeah. And the first thing I thought of was Eddie Grant. When you mentioned you were from St. Lucia, who's one of my favorite artists back in the 80s. I'm dating myself there, clearly. Yeah. Okay. I think his song was We're Gonna Rock Down to Electric Avenue. Great song. All right. All right. Next up, Manastro, my mentor, Chris, please, is bringing, I love you, man. You wrote, is bringing his social platform next month. Do you know that? Yeah. And yeah, somebody asked a question earlier about that. I've seen it as well. Yeah. It's not getting as much media attention because half the media is not a fan of his, at least. Yeah. Trying to be careful. The way it works in the United States, for those who are not familiar, is you've got CNN, which Democrats love, and then you've got Fox News, which Republicans love. And given the growth of social media, we've seen the bifurcation of American opinions. Right? Americans are at odds more so now than at any point in history, even during the hippie generation in the late 60s. And social media is making you more of a Republican or more of a Democrat. And the way that works is Facebook, through sponsored stories like video ad stories, the stories they'll provide you, they'll serve up to you, are based on whether they know you're a Republican or a Democrat. So it makes you more of a Democrat or more of a Republican. Yeah. That's why I don't use Facebook anymore. Yeah. My team does for business purposes, but personally, never. Yeah. And you can't avoid Facebook, though, as a business. Because, again, 40% of all people on this planet use one Facebook app every single month. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Ajay. Let me know if it's Ajay or AJ. I have friends with the same spelling that Ajay or AJ. Ajay Royan, who's Peter Thiel's chief investment officer, buddy of mine from Canada. I used to go to his office. He'd always give me Tim Hortons. So the question is, the Indian government is working on crypto regulation. It may ban private exchanges outside of India. The government wants crypto circulation among Indian exchanges. I think that's not what blockchain is for. What are your thoughts? Yeah, I believe in some sort of regulation. I'm a laissez-faire guy. I believe, and I'm probably more of a libertarian these days, but I'm a realist to the extent that I don't like it when people get scammed. And you guys can't see this, but I have so many comments on people trying to scam each other on my YouTube vlogs, especially my crypto ones. And I have to block tons of people, right? They're massive scammers everywhere. And I have one student in particular in my platinum program that lost a fortune to a cryptocurrency scammer. So I think we need some sort of regulation just to protect investors, right? It doesn't have to be as sophisticated as the regulation for IPOs. Like for ICOs, there should be some sort of regulation. Just because, the purpose of governments have noble intentions too. Yeah, we all criticize them, whatever. But they're there to serve the people, hopefully. And through regulation, loose regulation or some regulation, they're serving the people, protecting you. All right. Marin wrote, who's one of my platinum students from Kenya, you live in the United Kingdom now. Marin wrote, at Chris, thank you for the mention of my mom, Leah, and dad, Samson. I'm grateful. And yes, I'm backing up the truck. I love it. I had a one-on-one Zoom call with Marin a while back, and he said to me, Chris, there's something you keep saying that maybe it's an American thing. I'm not sure. But what does it mean when you say backing up the truck? And a lot of other people in my MBA program were asking as well. It's a saying, I guess, a North American saying for I used to use on Wall Street, which means you're buying a lot of shares in a company, like you're backing up the truck, beep beep beep, and then you're filling it up. Yeah, that means you're bullish, meaning you like a stock. Yeah. God bless you, Andre. How are you? Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. And Andre's one of my wonderful MBA students as well. Great to see you. Okay, next up, Ruby wrote, hi, Chris. I met someone recently who has a startup for cryptocurrency, putting together cryptocurrency portfolios. What should I keep in mind to learn more about his startup and what he is doing? And then you wrote, I'm a crypto newbie. No. All right, so he's creating a cryptocurrency portfolio. Yeah. All right, so what he's probably doing is he's thinking about creating some sort of mutual fund or an ETF for cryptos. And so the best way to explain this is to go here to Yahoo Finance Together. Okay, great. So if he's making an ETF, he's probably going to be trying to put together a collection of stocks. I don't know why Yahoo Finance is slow today. There we go, good. He's trying to put together a collection of stocks. So let me give you an example. I'll do OIH, which is the Oil Services Index. So if you want to invest in oil drilling companies like Schlumberger or Transocean ticker RIG, you can buy this ETF here, okay? And I'll show you what it means, and we'll come back to the fees in a second. Okay, so this ETF, the OIH, it allows you to get access to a bunch of oil drillers, like Transocean, Schlumberger, Halliburton, etc., or Tenaris, which makes pipes. And I know the founders too. They just sold for a lot of money. Okay. But when you look here at the profile, you want to look at the fees. Okay, so the fees here is 0.35%, which is pretty good actually. And what that means is this: for every $100 you invest in the OIH every year, for every $100 you invest, you pay 35 pennies in fees, which is not bad. So you want to look at the fee structure of whatever this person is doing with a crypto portfolio, and you also want to ask what's unique about what they're doing. I mean, why can't you just go out and buy the cryptos yourself? Unless this person has some sort of edge or track record. Yeah. Look closely at the fees. Yeah. And make sure that, Rose, before you invest, I want you to read the offering memorandum. Like if you're creating a financial product, you have to create something like this by law. Okay. And so ask him or her for the investment offering memorandum. Right, which will be a lot smaller than this. It'll probably be about 30 pages. That should outline all the risks. So ask that question. Can I please see the investment offering memorandum? And if this person says I don't have one, then you say, see ya, but I wouldn't want to be ya. That was an awful quote from Boys in the Hood, I think. Yeah, early 90s. Good movie. Yeah. All right. And Nikos wrote, hello from Romania. Oh, awesome, Nikos. We have two people from Romania on the call today. We also have Peter. He goes by Petra, but he told me to call him Peter a couple weeks ago as well. Great to see you. Great to see you. My best friend in business school, was Traian Carabas, who's from Romania, and then his wife Michaela. Yeah, they're great. Yeah. All right. And then Ruby wrote, Chris, what are your thoughts on real estate investing tax liens and tax deeds? Do you have thoughts on which states to look into? Yeah, I don't know anything about that. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, but before you invest in something like that, I'd probably, if it's a lot, I would do two things. Number one, talk to your accountant to see if you can put that investment into your retirement savings program tax-free. Number one. Number two, oh, my air conditioning's working now. Thank God. Okay, good. Yeah. Number two, what I would do is, I would go to LegalZoom.com and talk to a lawyer there. It's cheap to do. It's $15 per month for personal reasons like this. Talk to a lawyer and ask them to look at the prospectus before you invest. Yeah. So my AC is working now. That feels like heat is coming out of it, though. We'll know in a minute. Yeah. Okay. Gets hot in here with all these lights, man. Yeah. All right. Next up, Kozbila wrote, "Hello, Chris. Looking forward to the event tomorrow, and I can't wait for class to start January 10th. Awesome. I'm looking forward to working with you. It's going to be fun. Yeah. I guarantee success or your money back." Next up is from a new person called What Is Up, Danger? How are you, man? Yeah, great to see you. So what is up, Danger? Wrote, "Hello. I'm just curious. What all roles are available for people with computer science degrees and finance as a master's? As in one of your courses regarding modeling, you said it'll definitely give job." I'm so sorry. I don't know what it means. My bad. Let me think about this. I mean, if you have a computer science degree, I mean, your total addressable market is massive. You can go work for a tech company, or you can work for a big non-tech company, because big non-tech companies, their biggest investments are, number one, people, number two, technology. And so, for example, at Bank of America, ticker BAC, every year they spend close to $15 billion on technology, right? And that's through their employees and new technology initiatives, sandboxing of new products, et cetera. Yeah, so I think you're all set if you do that. Or you can be a contractor and sell your programming services over Upwork.com. Yeah, there's so much start your own company even. Yeah. Now, in terms of finance as a master's, yeah. So what we used to say in Silicon Valley is it's easier for an engineer to switch to a finance role than it is for a finance person to switch to an engineering role. Yeah. So if I had to pick one of the two, I'd probably do comp sci, if you're more passionate about that. But do what you're passionate about first. The problem with finance is a lot of people go into it because they want to make a lot of money. And that's a recipe for a miserable life. And I've lived it. I've seen it. I remember when I worked at Goldman Sachs, every December we get our Christmas bonus or year-end bonus. And people were depressed because they were, myself included, sometimes. Because we were comparing ourselves to those that make more. It's disgusting. That's the cancer of Wall Street. How many yachts can you water ski behind? You can't compare yourself that way. The only time you should look in your neighbor's bowl is to see if they have enough, not to see if you have more. Yeah, it's hard. And the Dalai Lama, I remember this. He said in his book called The Art of Happiness, which you should all read. It's great. He said the problem with Western society is we sacrifice our health, our entire lives in order to make money. And then at the end of our lives, we sacrifice all of our money in order to maintain our health. And then we look back and we realize we never really lived to begin with. So if you're going to go down the path of doing finance, make sure you're passionate about it, that you would thoroughly enjoy it. How do you know if you enjoy it? Well, if I told you that you have a month off from work, and you can't go to work and you can't go to school, what are you going to do with your time? If you say you're going to read financial reports or look at stocks and all that stuff, then yeah, that's your passion, or it could be. Yeah. But I really do think that if you chase money, you lose your dreams and your money. But if you chase your dreams, as long as you're willing to fail a bunch of times and not give a fuck what anyone thinks, something amazing happens. Your dreams come true, and the money follows accidentally. It always does. Yeah. All right. I think I'm kind of digging this this AC work. I'm gonna shut the door. Hold on a second. I've got this here. This is what was propping the door open. By the way, for those of you that have kids, don't just have these things, okay? Because when kids are panicking, and I've seen in my house, there's a fire, they don't know how to use it, right? It's not intuitive. Like, what is this thing? The Fortnite generation grew up understanding what is this thing. So get these things, right? They're light. Kids can't carry this. My youngest one can't. It's called Stop Fires Fast. Put it in every room where you have electricity, or like the bathroom, for example, if there's a blow dryer there. Also put it in the kitchen right by the stove. Yeah. And sometimes what I'll do with my kids is I'll say, there's a fire right there. What do you do? Right? And immediately they look for this and they say, I'll spray it at the base of the flames. Yeah, this works. This has saved fires in my house. Yeah. And I have a lot of electricity stuff in here, so I got to carry this. The Fortnite generation, they get this. Yeah. But dude, it's ridiculous. I see my kids playing Fortnite and they're back into it again now. It's so moronic, man. Like when someone's trying to shoot them, they jump up and down and up and down. I'm like, somebody has that's not how it works. Yeah. All right. Okay. Okay. Next one. Next question I've got is from Alex. Sorry, Alex wrote, "What cryptocurrencies do you think will do well as we enter the metaverse?" Yeah. I never recommend any investments or cryptocurrencies because I humbly want to teach my students how to fish instead of providing them with a fish. Yeah. But I have publicly disclosed the 4 cryptos I've owned forever and will never sell. I mentioned it earlier in this call too. Yeah. Oh, Jacques, thank you so much, man. Thank you so much. Jacques wrote, "Thank you for the donation. Appreciate it. You didn't have to do that. Thank you. That will go right to right to charity. Yeah. And my wife's name is Charity. I don't know if you know that. Terrible. No, it'll go to Project Magu. Thank you. God bless you, Jacques. So Jacques wrote here, what a wonderful guide for a way to look at finance and wealth accrual. Didn't think you'd be quoting the Dalai Lama. No, he's great, man. He's amazing. I bought his book when I was on my honeymoon. I was in Australia, actually, in Darwin. And I bought his book from a bookstore there, and I read it. And I'll never forget Darwin because of that. Yeah. Thank you for that. God bless you, Jacques. Thank you. All right. Next up, I've got What's Up, Danger, who wrote, "I'm saying this because I see people are being exploited during COVID. No luck getting good finance analyst kind of jobs, domestic or abroad." Yeah. And that was in the context of, okay, that was in the context of your question about finance. Yeah. You can work from home. You can easily do it. And you know what, dude? Join me tomorrow. And what I'm going to do, and here are details on the event. What I'll do tomorrow is I'll explain how to sell yourself and how to sell anything. And I created this content, new content. It's 49 tips on how to sell anything. and I teach you how to sell anything. And hopefully you'll take some of the lessons tomorrow and it'll help you get the job of your dreams. Yeah. Okay. All right, next up, Marin wrote, "Chris, I hope Richard is here to hear your statements on the vaccine. Bless him. We miss him here. If you find him, it just jumped on me. I got to search on the word Richard. Hold on a second. Here we go. If you find him, tell him to come back. We're all in this together. Yeah. I had a student that was on this call a couple weeks ago that got really mad at me. And I respect his opinion. We're all entitled to our own opinion. And I'd agree with him if he was right. No, I'm just kidding. No, what happened was this. It got a little bit contentious, actually very contentious. So I was talking, and I'm an open book. So I was talking about vaccines and how I got the Pfizer vaccine. I got both of the vaccines, right? And then I wrote, "Oh, Andre, God bless you. You didn't have to do that. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you." So I was talking about booster shots. And so I got both Pfizer vaccines. And then I found that there's been a bit of a side effect. There's part of my body, my toes, whatever, I can't feel. And it may or may not be because of that. I'm not sure. Or it might be because I'm an idiot and I walk 1 million steps a day. But I've done research on it, and there are other people out there that have had similar things happen to different body parts. And I can't, one data point doesn't make a trend, a couple maybe, I don't know. But my comment was that I'm not getting the booster until it's FDA approved, until I see the, if there's side effects, etc. Yeah. So that was what I said. And then Richard got mad at me. I think he thought I was an anti-vaxxer and all that stuff. And yeah. But Richard was being a bit of a dick. Yeah. All right. But Richard, if you're watching, you're probably not. But I do have love in my heart for you. Thank you. And I respect your opinion. Okay. That was me turning the other cheek. All right, next up, Fabrice wrote, "My name is Fabrice Sunborn from Maryland, and I'm a big fan of yours." Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. Every time I hear of somebody from Maryland, I always ask, are you a baseball fan? And if so, I love Cal Ripken. So Cal Ripken was the quintessential team player. He played for the Orioles his entire career, Baltimore Orioles, and he broke Lou Gehrig's records of 2,130 games in a row without taking a break. And that's why they called him the Iron Horse. And before you meet with anybody in business for the first time, go to their Twitter profile and see who they follow. If they follow athletes, you know what to talk about, right? So I always try to find something in common right away. Love for baseball or whatever it is. But thank you so much, Fabrice, for being here. I really appreciate it. Thank you. And I have a number of students actually from Baltimore. Last year, my platinum program, Mo Abrahamson, great guy, love him. I miss him. He was in the program, and then this year we have Fred Mendoza, who's also from Baltimore. Yeah. Thank you. And maybe you next year from Baltimore as well. Yeah, thanks. Thank you. All right, next up, Jacques wrote, "I'm wondering where to take profits when selling out of a position in cryptocurrencies. Do you hold it in fiat, meaning paper-based currency? What happens when inflation, hyperinflation occurs?" Yeah. Okay, first thing I would do is this. And I don't know which country my students are from. I would talk to your accountant to see if you could put cryptocurrencies in your retirement program. Okay, your retirement savings. Because if so, then you're going to pay less in taxes, right? Or you'll pay taxes later in the future, I should say. Another thing I want to warn everybody about is when it comes to taxes, governments incentivize us to be long-term focused. And they do that because taxes are usually much higher if you make money on something in less than a year. Okay, the capital gains tax is higher. But if you hold something for more than a year, quite often in many countries, you pay less in taxes. So I would understand that as well. Yeah. And the reason governments do that is they want you to be long-term focused. They don't want people to be speculators, and they don't want too much volatility in the markets because volatility means fear. Yeah. So, I mean, you could stick it in fiat if it's a stable currency. Or what you can do is just you can use your go-to ETF. Like for me, my go-to ETF, and I'm like, I don't know what to do next, but I'm bullish on the markets, is to buy the SPI or SPY, which is the Standard & Poor's 500 index. Or I buy the Qs. QQQ is the ticker, which is the tech stocks within the NASDAQ. Yeah. Or if I'm really, really worried about the economy and the markets, I usually go and buy GLD, ticker GLD, which is gold. Yeah. And Jacques, if I didn't answer that question perfectly, please let me know. Or if you have any additional follow-ups, I'm here to help. Thank you. And it's Thursday, so my neighbor is cutting his grass. I bet you he watches my webcast, and he's like, "F you, Chris. I'm going to be cutting my grass now." I'm just kidding. Okay. Gregory wrote, Chris, can you explain some of the risks on tips such as rising yields and deflation? Yeah. So deflation, so if there's deflation, what happens is you can't earn a negative return on it. It still is, the base yield is still going to be what the interest rate is. Yeah. But at that point, you'd sell it and get the heck out of the way. Yeah. If we have deflation, we're in big trouble, which is it's not something that's going to be happening for a long time. I mean, the labor markets are really tight now. It's ridiculous. You can't find people to work for you. And if you can, you have to pay through the nose for it. It's unbelievable. And what's happening is this. So globally, from a market signaling perspective, governments are very worried about COVID, and they should be as well. Even though governments, basically say things are getting better and whatnot, and the media has been pretty tame with it too. I think some government officials have even called the major networks and said, okay, we don't want panic. But I think that if we'll know that the COVID situation is getting a lot better when governments start raising interest rates, right? And that would make me feel comfortable. So yeah. But what's happening is governments all over the world have been mismanaged, a lot of them, okay, including the United States, and I'll explain why. So what happens usually is, and I'm a patriot too, but I'm a realist. Usually when the economy is doing well, what happens is the government raises interest rates, okay? Not too much, but a little bit every now and then. And the reason they do that is because they'll have enough bullets in the chamber to jumpstart the economy. And that's called monetary policy. So if they raise interest rates slowly over time, right, and say it gets up to 6% interest, right, which is unheard of for the younger generation, but I lived it. It was 20% when I was a kid. It was awful. But if they raise interest rates, say to 5 or 6%, slowly over time, okay, so very slowly, 0.25% or 25 basis points every couple months or quarter, whatever, then what happens is this. If they raise interest rates a little bit over time, and then they notice, oh my gosh, the economy is falling off a cliff. Things are awful. Well, what the government can do is they can jumpstart the economy by cutting interest rates, okay? And it's a fiscal stimulus or a shot to the economy, okay? And that's called monetary policy. The problem is the government is out of monetary policy bullets all over the world. So the other way that governments stimulate the economy is through something called fiscal policy, which means big spending projects, right? Like infrastructure projects and whatnot, which leads to tax revenues and hiring people and all that stuff. Well, you can't really do that many more fiscal policy projects. Otherwise, countries go bankrupt. So governments are out of both medicine, so to speak, fiscal policy, monetary policy, and fiscal policy. So what next? It gets a little bit scary. And the governments are basically allowing inflation to run rampant. And I understand why, and I kind of agree. They're doing it because they know that COVID is still a wild card. We have no idea what's coming next. And so if you raise interest rates too early and you kill the economy, then you got the perfect storm. COVID and a crap economy. So if you run out of monetary policy and fiscal policy, you run out of both, then you can use the wealth effect. And what that means is this. If rates are zero, then everybody buys stocks. Because why would you leave money in the bank? And what happens is it's kind of like Adam Smith with the invisible hand to the extent that everybody feels richer. And it becomes self-fulfilling, right? And so we're in a bubble, a big bubble right now, absolutely. But if people feel richer, then they spend more, which helps the economy. The problem is that interest rates have been artificially low for way too long that we're seeing massive inflation. It's ridiculous. Like I bought my wife bought a Tesla. It was supposed to arrive this December. They promised it's coming, don't worry. And now they just said, oh, April now, right? You can't get components like semiconductors, metals, whatever. Everything's in short supply. Even the labor market is in short supply as well. So it's a real conundrum that we're in right now. But I think once the governments around the world start raising interest rates, then that is going to signal that they're not as worried about COVID anymore. Yeah. Okay. Next up, I got Marios wrote here. First time joining your live session. Very interesting, really. Thank you, Marios. I appreciate it. And I apologize. I call you Mario before Marios. You have an S at the end. You wrote, very interesting. Thank you. You wrote, thanks for sharing all this knowledge with us. Well, thanks for being here. This is fun for me. Yeah. I don't have a job. I have a passion. Yeah. All right. Next up, Dapsy wrote, hi, Chris. Is your options course on Udemy? It is. Yeah, I'll show you. Let me go there with you. All right, so I'll share here. And I'm going to go into incognito mode. Okay. And you go to udemy.com. And then you do a search. Actually, just go to categories instead. It'd be finance and accounting. Yeah, it should be here. And that's, sorry. Okay. Featured course should be here. Here we go. Yeah. Yeah, so here it is right here. Yeah. And it says, I don't know if you saw that, it says hot and new. Okay. That's referring to the course, not me. Okay. Because I'm ugly and old. Yeah. But you can check it out here. It's pretty long. Yeah, it's 29 hours. If you're in my MBA program, it's already been added to the fourth semester for y'all. But you can check it out here. Yeah, and let me see the ratings. I get nervous, man, when I release a new course. Oh, Jesus, I love you. And I see the ratings. It's kind of like Ratatouille, the movie, when the food critic came into the restaurant. Yeah, so it's good. Here's a negative one. Pace is a little slow, but Chris knows his stuff and is very thorough. Yeah, okay, that's a negative. See if there's any more negative ones. Good. See more reviews. Yeah, so the only negative thing so far is the pace is slow. So don't sign up because it's slow as hell. You'll hate it. I'm just kidding. Ugly guy though, right? Yeah. Hot and new. Okay. All right. Next up, Nestor wrote, hey, Chris, is it possible to search a YouTube video based on the speech in the video? I'm asking because it's an interesting application of NLP, which is natural language processing. Yeah. I'm not sure. I closed caption a bunch of my YouTube videos. It helps with search rankings a lot. Yeah, it's a little hack, and it's well worth the money. Go to rev.com, paste your YouTube link at rev.com, and they'll do it there. I'm not sure. I don't think so. Not yet. Yeah. And the reason with my stuff, the reason you can always find it is because I have my team. I'll show you here. So I have my team after each call. What they do is within 3 hours of the call being done, they'll write down all the questions asked at what times and put it in the description field so you can click and get immediate access. It makes it easier for us workflow-wise when we're trying to come up with vlogs and stuff. Yeah. So if you go here and you type anything, I'll show you here. So options, I guess. Yeah, and it usually pings. Yeah, want to learn more about options? Yeah. So it grabs it directly from the videos. Yeah. And yeah, like you can see here as well, it searches the description. I'm not sure if it searches captions. It should. And then here's in my MBA program. Yeah, for those of you in my MBA program, I've added it to silver, gold, platinum in the fourth semester, the option stuff as well. Yeah. All right. That was a shameless plug for my options course. All right. Elias wrote, can I mine in a country, Morocco, where you wrote you're from? Can I mine in Morocco that prohibits trading in electronic currencies? Yeah. Yeah, I would assume that if it's illegal to trade, it's probably illegal to mine. Yeah, and what some people do, and don't do this if you get in trouble, but in China, for example, about 80% of all Bitcoin pool mining is still done in China. Yes, it's illegal, but people use VPNs. Okay, and if you're going to use a VPN, the one that I highly recommend using, and I learned about this from Marquise Brownlee, who's my favorite vlogger of all time. I love that guy. I recommend using a product called ExpressVPN. Okay, So here it is here. And you buy the license. And these guys sponsor one of the videos from Marquise, which I've never done. And I know it's hurt my growth, but you're my customers, nobody else. But what you can do with ExpressVPN is like $9 a month, I think. And you can put it on all your devices, okay? And then you can set it up and you can actually select what country you're in right now. And then what you can do is you turn it on. And I use this for a couple of reasons. Number one, when I used to go to Dubai and Abu Dhabi every now and then. It's fun to say Abu Dhabi like that, I don't know why. And I'd want to watch baseball games. And the MLB app wouldn't let me. And so I'd use a VPN. And I used this actually when I was in Rwanda recently. The All-Star game was on. And I wanted to watch the All-Star game. You know, Vladimir Guerrero, my boy from Toronto, hit a home run that one. It's amazing. But I use this VPN so I could watch MLB, right? And people do this for Netflix and other reasons too. I also use it because sometimes I want to see how my courses are doing in other markets and how they're being marketed. And so what I'll do is I'll enter in a different location in the world and do a search on my courses. Yeah, from an SEO perspective. Yeah, but Elias, don't do it if you find out it's illegal, of course. Yeah. Okay. And then Renvir wrote, "Hey Chris, I'm 18 and I want to start my agriculture business. Great to meet you. Do you have any advice on how to raise money for a business?" Yeah, join me tomorrow. Okay, and you can go to this web address here for the webinar on how to sell anything. And I'm very humbled to say I've raised and managed over $1 billion in my life. I'll teach you exactly how to raise money and how to sell anything, including yourself. Yeah. And there's 49 tips I'm going to be teaching you tomorrow. If you just take a couple of them and it helps you with your career in terms of asking for a raise or promotion, selling yourself, then I've done my job. Yeah, it's free. And you don't have to register. Just go to that web address I showed you a second. I'll leave it there for a minute or so. Yeah. Just click on that link and you're good to go. And then, of course, my MBA program, you know the drill. I go into a lot more detail. Okay. Dude, if you don't mind, Renvir, I want to ask you a question. So I love video games. I love video games. And the one I'm into now, and one of the reasons I'm a bit tired is because I stayed up very late last night. I usually get over 8 hours. I got 7 hours this time. But I stayed up very late last night playing Age of Empires Part 4, which I love. It's my favorite game ever now. Yeah. But I want to ask you, why are these farming video games popular? Right? So there's a farming simulation game. I've never tried it. I'm trying to understand the appeal. If anybody has tried it, I'm not talking about Farmville. Let me show you here. Farm video games. Massive sellers too. Here it is here. Farming Simulator 2022. What is the appeal of this game? Look, I'm trying to understand. I don't get it. So if you guys have tried it and there's something, like, let me know. Let me know. Is it like tower defense games, or I don't even know? But let me know. Apparently it's a big deal. Yeah. All right. Next up, Purna Chandra. Purna Chandra wrote, "Who regulates the foreign exchange market?" Yeah, governments do. If it's done within certain countries, that sort of thing. There's some regulation, right? If there's manipulation, governments might get involved, maybe, but it's not as regulated as other markets. And so what happened was George Soros, who's hated in Thailand and parts of the United Kingdom, he made $1 billion by manipulating the FX markets, by shorting the British pound. He made $1 billion in one day, and he also made a fortune in making the Thai baht float. And if you're curious about that, I did a vlog on that. You can always go to my website after you finish playing Farm Simulator. You can always go to my website and do a search. I'll show you. Yeah, whoops. HAR, here we go, Haroun. Okay, so here you do, I think I did something on Soros. Yeah, here we go. How George Soros made $1 billion in one day by breaking the Bank of England with Forex. Yeah, it's a free market, but yeah, I'm sure if it's regulated, not as much so as other markets. But I guess what I'll say is the more left wing a country is, the more likely that the government will stop any sort of manipulation. Like I'm sure China would stop people from, manipulating the yuan or the renminbi. Yeah. That wasn't a good answer. I'm sorry. That was not a good answer. Okay. Alex said, Chris, do you know good hire and hire rights? I don't. You wrote, in my previous employment records are a couple months off from HRs. Is this a problem? I mean, HR records don't reflect what I was actually involved with. Yeah. Let me answer this a couple different ways. Let's say you started working at a company today and you hate it and you want to quit tomorrow. Just wait until January 1st and then quit, so that on a LinkedIn profile, it looks like it's 2020 to 2021. In terms of trying to explain what you were doing in those 2 months, let me know what you were doing. If you were taking care of a loved one that was sick, you can explain it. If you're spending more time with family, you can explain it. Everything is explainable. Everything is. Everything is. Yeah. Yeah. And if a company doesn't want to hire you because of 2 months, they're not worth working at. Yeah. It's a non-event. Yeah. And on LinkedIn, people don't list months anyway. Like, people don't usually say February of 2006 to March of 2008. I was at whatever. Yeah. It's just years. Yeah. And you know what you can do is this, Alex, if you want, everything's explainable, and I could turn any weakness into a strength. So pretend that you're interviewing yourself right now and type a question to ask yourself, and I'll answer it. Okay. Okay. And in tomorrow's event, I'll teach you how to turn a weakness into a strength as well when it comes to interviewing, yeah, or selling anything. Yeah. You always start with why they don't want to hire you or why they don't want to buy your product. And then you work on the psychology of sales that way. And I'll be talking a lot about this tomorrow when I talk about 49 tips on how to sell anything. Okay. And then Tenzil wrote, should we expect a Udemy metaverse course soon? Yeah, I will. Once the Udemy, so Udemy is, it's in EdTech, Udemy is the platform that matters. Udemy is Google and everyone else is Bing. Sorry for people who work at Microsoft, which is made by, Bing is made by Microsoft. But once Udemy has a metaverse platform, I will jump right on that. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if it's coming or not. I'm not an executive there at all. But I bet they'll do it eventually. Yeah. Because it's going to be the coolest way to teach, man. I'm so excited about it. Being able to use 3D modeling and AR and VR to be able to teach and interact with your students and network with each other. Yeah. Okay. Harsh wrote, Chris, you didn't answer my question. Okay, I'm going to do a search on Harsh. I'm going to go back to the top here, okay? And I'm going to go Control F, Harsh. Okay, so you wrote here, do you teach everything about arbitrage trading and where can I learn it? Yeah. Okay, so arbitrage means a mispriced asset. Okay, so something is undervalued. For example, if a company like SAP is listed on 2 different stock markets, which is true, they are. They're listed in Germany and they're listed as an ADR in the United States. And if you notice that the price of one of those 2 stocks goes up or down a lot more than the other, and there was no change in foreign exchange rates, then that's an arbitrage opportunity. You go long one, you can go short the other. Another form of arbitrage is merger arbitrage, and I've worked a lot on this. Okay, so whenever one company is acquiring another, what happens is hedge funds will go short the company making the acquisition, and they'll go long the company being acquired until the gap is zero, meaning the purchase price and what the stock's at now. And it's always at a discount unless there's a bidding war. And I can go into more detail why if you want. So in terms of do I teach arbitrage? Well, I teach about M&A, I teach about financial modeling. I teach about acquisitions in a lot of detail, and I teach about shorting stocks in a lot of detail in my MBA program. Yeah. I hope that answered your question. Yeah, and you can learn more about my MBA program right here. Yeah. I do a lot of case studies too. All right, let me do a search for the next Harsh. Here we go. Okay. My apologies for missing your question. Okay, and thanks again, Jacques. Appreciate that. Okay. Okay, next up we got Manas, who wrote, my mentor, Tether, a cryptocurrency, is getting hyped because it's more like a decentralized crypto. It's kind of like a bank. What are your thoughts? Yeah, so Tether is kind of used as a placeholder in order to convert from one crypto to another. That's all I view it as, not as an investment. Yeah. All right, Ajay wrote, thank you for the answer. You can call me AJ. Okay, great. I'll remember that. Thank you, AJ. Okay. Oh, Satans. Excellent. So Satans is Mark. He's one of my favorite students. I love all my students. He's from Detroit, the Motor City. Great guy. He's in my platinum program. A great trader. And he's got a business model that is so forward thinking. I love it, which is mining on asteroids. It's long-term focus, kind of like Elon Musk, who's talking about colonizing Mars. Yeah, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And he made that popular before the movie Dune came out. Yeah, and the new Dune movie is better than the old one, but it's a bit slow. It's kind of like The Hobbit, which they broke up into like 8 million movies. And there's a scene at the dinner table in The Hobbit at Bilbo Baggins' house, which took for like 8 million hours. It's boring. Yeah. So Mark wrote here, Lucid Motors offered a $1.75 billion aggregate principal amount of convertible senior notes due 2026. What does it mean during the SEC investigation? Yeah. And I own the stock. Yeah. So let me explain what a convert is in general. Okay, so the best way to explain it is to talk about startups. Okay, and you can also, by the way, I've done tons of videos on converts as well with real situations, real case studies. So let's go to convert. Yeah, right here. Yeah. So I talk about it in my MBA program. I think I did also. Was it Coinbase did a convert? I think so. Let's see here, video answers. Oh, here we go. Yeah. So I did a big session on when Coinbase did a $1.2 billion convertible debt issuance. So I talk about this in a lot more detail from scratch. But generally speaking, what a convert means is it's like a car, a convertible car. It's my wife talking to the neighbor. Yeah. Tell him to turn his lawnmower off. So it's when you start a company, a lot of times you want to raise money. And what you do quite often is like a convertible car. You raise debt, okay, that converts into equity. And it usually converts at a 20% discount. So let me give you an example. I'm going to shut my window. Hold on a second here, guys. I've got cameras in the way, so I got to go under my desk here. All right, give me 1 second. All right, so let's say you start a company and you're going to do a round, an equity round, and you're going to raise money from venture capital firms, but not yet, right? You're probably going to raise money from venture capital firms next year, for example. So you're having trouble getting an investor to invest, and so you find this high net worth investor, and you tell this high net worth investor, "Can you invest? I'm going to raise money from venture capitalists next year, but can you invest today?" And so the high net worth investor says to you, "Well, why don't I just wait until when you raise with a venture capital firm? I don't get it. Like, why do I have to be first?" And to sweeten the deal, what you do is you tell this investor, "Okay, if you invest $1 million, it'll be debt. Okay, so, and I'll pay you 6% interest on the debt. Plus, when I raise money next year from the venture capital firm, that debt will convert into equity at a 20% discount to whatever I value the company at then when I raise money from venture capital firms. So for example, let's say that when this high net worth investor invests and she or he gives you $1 million and the company is valued at $2 million, right? So they own half the company. And they give you $1 million and you're paying them 60 grand per year, meaning 6% interest. And then next year, remember the company's valued at 2 million today, okay? Next year when you raise money at a $4 million valuation, this investor's equity is going to convert, okay? Or debt's going to convert to equity, but not at a $4 million valuation. It'll convert the debt at a 20% discount. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, I think it made sense. Just remember that a convert means equity or debt that converts to equity. Okay. And never get a loan for your company, ever, when you're starting it. If you are going to get a loan, get a convert. Yeah. And if you guys want to learn more about how converts work and the whole legal process, talk to a lawyer first, obviously, but you can go to wsgr.com. Okay. Wilson Sonsini is the name of the company, and they've got something called a term sheet generator. Okay. And I've hired Wilson Sonsini before in the past here in the Bay Area. They're great in venture capital. They've got, it's called a term sheet generator. I always have problems finding it. Let me try again. Term sheet generator. Here we go. And what you can do is you click through it. Here it is here. You click through it, and it's a great way to learn actually about law as well. You click through it, and what happens is a term sheet is created for you. Here it is here. Convertible note sheet generator. Okay, good. Here we go. So you click here, and you're going to be asked a bunch of questions. And based on the questions that you answer, a legal document is created for you that's not legally binding. And it's like 10 or 15 pages long. It's called a term sheet. And before you raise money from anybody, usually what happens is you provide them with a term sheet, which is, as it sounds, a document that just gives you the terms of the deal. So let's go through it. Let's create one here. Okay. And I won't go through all the steps. But what you do is, and the reason they give this away for free is because they're upselling, right? It's a freemium product, and of course it's smart. Then you click next. And then what you do is you enter in all the details. Let me go here. Okay. A lot of legal disclosure, of course, because, they are a law firm. Okay, here we go. Good. All right. So the company name. So who asked that question? It was Mark. Okay. So Mark is creating a company that mines asteroids. Asteroid Mining Incorporated. And where are you going to register it? So, the reason people do Delaware, by the way, you'll hear this a lot. People will say that it's a Delaware registered company. And the reason why people use Delaware to register their company, even if they don't live there, and I've done this a lot, is because the founding fathers, when they were first writing the Constitution, a lot of them kind of ended up living in that area. And so there's lots of lawyers there that can crank out legal documents in an efficient way. That's the best way to explain it. So I'll click Delaware, okay? And you can click here, guidance on what should I do, okay? Anyway, and there's a lot of links you can click on as well to learn more about stuff. Okay, so the maximum amount. So the offering range, let's say it's $1 million, okay? Yeah, save and continue. And then the interest rate, remember we said 6%? Okay, is it 1 year? Yeah, we'll make it 1 year, because next year we're going to be doing a venture capital round. Okay, remember this is for the high net worth investor. We're giving him or her a term sheet. So when's it payable? Annually. And you can click your guidance on why annually. Okay. Can you prepay early? No. Yeah. All right, here we go. Will the notes be convertible into equity securities? Yes. Remember, debt's going to convert to equity. Will they automatically convert? I guess. I don't know why I would say no, but I'm not a lawyer. Okay. All right, here we go. The next time we're going to raise money is going to be the Series A, okay, the first round. Okay, that's when venture capital firms come in. Remember, this is just for a high net worth investor, this term sheet. A term sheet, basically, as it sounds, is a sheet that outlines the terms of a deal. It's not legally binding, But once you agree on the term sheet, both you and the other party sign it. Then you get your own lawyers involved to do the paperwork on the real documents, which are way over my head. Okay, to trigger automatic conversion, the qualified financing must exceed a certain amount. Yeah, say you want to raise, I don't know, 500 grand in the VC round. Good. Okay. All right. Save and continue. Okay. The notes will convert into preferred shares. Okay. Not common. Preferred shares means preferential treatment, meaning you don't get as diluted. When you buy shares that are common, which is what all stocks are, you can get diluted. When you invest in private companies, try to invest in preferred. And as the name sounds, you get preferential treatment. Common shares is the lowest of the low. Okay, save and continue. All right, what is the conversion price going to be? Set it at a discount, 20% discount, okay? So right here, yeah, that's 20% discount. Okay. Okay. Then will the conversion price be subject to the valuation cap? We don't know what the valuation is going to be yet, but let's just click next. All right, so you guys can go through the rest of this if you want to. And what happens is at the end, when you finish all this, a Word document or a PDF here is created for you. It looks like this, okay? It's pretty cool. All right, so here is the term sheet, okay, for the convert. So I'll just look at the blue stuff because that's what we changed there. The issuer is Asteroid Mining, which is Mark's company, which is a Delaware-based company, okay? You're raising $1 million, okay? And then the interest rate is going to be 6%. It's going to be 1 year, meaning interest is paid annually, yada, yada, yada. And there's other stuff that we haven't filled in yet. Okay. So anyway, check this out if you want to. Just do a search on WSGR and term sheet. It's not the easiest website to find, but I think it's helpful. And I think WSGR does a good job, which is why I've worked with them in the past. Yeah. Holy, that was a long answer, Chris. You asked for a yes or no question. I gave you an encyclopedia. Yeah. All right. And Asil wrote, I'm from Palestine, and I enrolled in 6 courses of yours, and I'm looking for more. Awesome. Very cool. My wife's father is Palestinian. And so here's what happened. So my wife is half Greek, and the other half is Palestinian. So my kids are 25% Palestinian. My background is I'm half Egyptian, quarter Lebanese, and the other quarter is Scottish, Irish, French. Irish, that's how my Irish grandmother got her green eyes, and that's why I'm Catholic, yeah. But my wife is half Greek, half Palestinian. The only problem with the marriage I have, it's hard for me to explain, is that the code on our American Express card is my wife's mom's maiden name. So whenever I have problems with my Amex, I call Amex and they say, well, what is the code? And I'll say it's triandafilides, which is Greek for 30 flowers. And then they ask me to spell it. And I can't spell. I don't know, man. Yeah. So what happened was my wife's, the Greek side, they grew up in Santorini. And many, many years ago, there was this volcanic eruption on Santorini, which is a beautiful island. And so a lot of people passed away. It was awful. But my wife's side of the family, they got in a boat. And somehow they ended up in northern Israel, right, in Haifa. And there's a famous restaurant there you might have eaten at, actually. It's called Abu Christo, which means son of Christopher. Yeah, Abu Christo. Yeah. And I visited him in the restaurant recently, actually, a couple of years ago. And God bless Christo, he passed away. And so that yeah. And then my wife's dad is Palestinian. And so my wife's parents met in I guess it was around Haifa. And then they moved to Canada in 1967, right before that war. Actually, around the same time my dad left Egypt in 67. They wanted my dad to be in the army to fight that moronic war. And then my dad bribed an army official to fail his eye physical. He gave him $20, which is all the money he had. And then he came to Canada as well. Yeah, it's interesting. Pleasure to have you. Pleasure to have you. Okay. Okay, cool. Next up, Mighty Men wrote, hey, Chris, I love the show. Thank you. Thank you. It makes one person. God bless you. Thank you. Will you teach business lending for the people that are ready to open up a startup? Yeah. Yeah, let me know if that answer I gave about the convert for Mark Satons is good enough for your answer. If not, let me know. But I don't ever recommend getting a loan. Okay, the only loan you should think about maybe getting, and have a lawyer draft all the paperwork first, obviously, is a convert. Okay, so it's debt that converts into equity. Yeah, and the reason I say don't get a loan is because a lot of times when you get a loan from a bank, banks are chicken. They're scared, and they don't take risks. And if you're one day late, they can take everything. So of course, register your company name as well, so you can protect your children, your family, your possessions, etc. Yeah, and you can go to LegalZoom.com for that. And if you're in another country where LegalZoom is not available, just type this: what is the Canadian equivalent of LegalZoom, or whatever country it is? Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up. Thanks again, Jacques. I appreciate that donation. Thank you. Thank you. God bless you. Okay. Okay. And then Mark wrote, Wall Street won. How many yachts can you water ski behind? Dude, you got it. You remember that's right. I mentioned earlier the problem with Wall Street is around bonus season. People want more, and how many yachts can you water ski behind? I got that from the movie. Yeah, you're right. Wall Street, 1987. Michael Douglas. He won best actor actually for Gordon Gekko. Yeah, and the problem with that movie, actually, I think that movie partially caused the 2008 crisis. Here's why. Michael Douglas, after he made that movie, and he feels disgusted by what I'm about to tell you. But when he is, and Gordon Gekko, who is the criminal in that movie who went to jail for insider information, was Michael Douglas. Great movie from Oliver Stone, 87. So what happened was, after that movie, a lot of people that went to work on Wall Street loved that movie. They knew every line. And Michael Douglas would be walking through New York City, and people would come up to him, and they'd say, Mr. Douglas, thank you so much for that movie. I'm here on Wall Street because of you. Thank you. And it's kind of like worshiping, Scarface. Say hello, my little friend. Like, it's not like, it's like the anti-hero. And so I think there's a lot of greed on Wall Street. I think a lot of people don't have ethics. Not all of them, but a lot. And I think that contributed to the hype we saw in 2008, where there was a lot of criminal activity. Yeah. All right. And part two, they did a follow-up called Money Never Sleeps. It was awful. Yeah. Okay. But you'll notice Oliver Stone, his son is in all of his movies. Like Gordon Gekko was holding his son. That was Oliver Stone's son. And then when Oliver Stone made the movie The Doors, Jim Morrison, when he was a little boy at the beginning, the opening scene in the back of the car, that's Oliver Stone's kid as well. Yeah. Last Oliver Stone thing, I promise. Okay. So Scarface, which is, oh my God, it is iconic, right? It's entertaining, and without it, we wouldn't have GTA Vice City. But in Scarface, there's that scene where Al Pacino comes out and says, "Say hello, my little friend." And he's all drugged up on coke. It's awful. But he walks through the door, and there's the fight on the stairs. Oliver Stone was friends, and still is friends, with Steven Spielberg. And he said to Spielberg, he said, "Hey, man, do you want to direct that scene?" So that entire scene, which is iconic, was directed by Spielberg. Yeah. All right. And Andre, thanks again, brother, for that. Appreciate it. God bless you. Okay, Monastro, thank you for everything, my mentor. God bless you and your family forever. See you next week, and forever and ever and ever. You're awesome. 3 cheers for Project Magu. Love and support. Lots. I love all your icons, especially these ones. God bless you, brother. Thank you for that. Thank you. Okay. All right, next up. Oh, Christoph, how are you? So Christoph, Canadian, I think, right? Libertarian is what I recall. And then you said, don't buy ticker GLD. Buy PHYS. It's actually owning physical gold allocated. They actually have the gold, unlike GLD, where it's unallocated and most likely don't have near enough physical in storage. And then PSLV for silver. Yeah, I used to buy SLW Silver Wheaton, and SLV also is the ETF I go to for silver. Yeah, let me actually go there and check it out with you. What you mentioned there. All right, let's go to finance.yahoo.com. Okay. And then I'm going to let me type in first of all GLD. Yeah. So I like to see who's offering it, right? So holdings. Yeah, it's gold trust. Yeah, I guess what you want to do is you want to look at the underlying company that creates this, right? So whoever's offering this, I'm sure it's somebody reputable. Yeah, I can't remember, but let me type up yours. Yeah. So you wrote here PHYS. Sprott Physical Gold Trust. That's a Canadian. It used to be my client in Toronto, Sprott, if that's the one I know. Yeah. Huh. Profile. Yeah, they're in Toronto. Yeah, they were my client years ago. Sprott, that's right. Oh, they're still around. Awesome. Huh. They branched out into commodities now and ETFs. Interesting. They were just a hedge fund years ago. I remember that. Yeah, my client years ago from Goldman. All right, let me look here. All right, it's liquid. Good. Let me look at the fees. Maybe there's no fees. I don't even know. So what's in this? Let me check it out here. Yeah, I've never heard of it, but Sprott they're reputable. They're my client. I grew up here in Bramalea. Yeah. Okay. No, thanks for telling me about that. Thanks. Okay. And then Christoph wrote, I think that central banks continue to print money and buy up debt. And eventually stocks and assets. Yeah. And then you wrote the end game is central banks owning everything and you own nothing and you're happy. Yeah. And you put a smiley face. Yeah. So what I'm going to say is a bit controversial. But I think, remember all the crazy short squeezes we saw after the market bottom in March of 2020? I think there are government slush funds that buy stocks. And they do it so that it drives the market up. And you don't have to do very much of it, right? You do it offshore. I'm not going to say which governments. But if they buy stocks that are heavily shorted, then everybody gives up and hedge funds go long. And what happens is, because everybody owns stocks, it's kind of like an invisible wealth effect. People feel good about stuff and they start spending more, which helps the economy. I think that happened, okay? Because back in 2020, when the price of oil went negative, remember that? And everything was ridiculously on sale. It is highly illogical to understand what the spark was that caused that rally. I think it's government slush funds. And as Machiavelli said, the ends justify the means. And I don't think that's a bad thing. Yeah. Okay. Christoph said, by 2030, you will own nothing and be happy. Yeah, God, I hope not. I hope we keep our governments in check, too. Like, I have students from a lot of countries. I'll never name which ones and the students' names, but when I do one-on-ones in my Platinum MBA program thing, during COVID, people said, Chris, it's terrible. The police have sticks and they're beating us for being outdoors after curfew. And so in a lot of countries, we've lost some, I don't want to get too extreme here. We've lost some freedoms because of COVID, right? And I understand that we have to protect people. But we better be fucking sure that once COVID is done, we get those freedoms back. And so if you find that that your freedoms have been taken away from you, just small things like you can't go outdoors after a certain hour in the long run, or like my brother, he lives in Canada. He wanted to go to the cottage, and he got into the car, and the cops want to pull him over and say, hey, if you go any further, we're going to fine you $150 per person in the car, right? Now that's no longer the case in Canada. But if you find that in your country that certain liberties are taken away, you have the right to call your congressperson or your member of parliament, your MP, your government elected official, and complain. Yeah. I don't think it'll get to that point, but one thing that worries me a bit, let me get some breakfast. One thing that worries me a bit is my entire life. I was born in 1972, 8 million years ago, but my entire life, we've been moving away from communism as a society, the world, towards capitalism, okay, democracy, which I love. And when I was a baby, Richard Nixon he went to China, and that was very symbolic, right? Starting to open up the market, and then he got fired. Remember, I'm not a criminal. Impeached, I should say. And so my whole life, we've been moving towards freedom of the individual. Okay, democracy. You had it in the 80s, the Cold War, came to a halt. The Berlin Wall fell. The 90s was great. China's opening up. And then after COVID, we're starting to see a slow shift. And democracy has not been the most popular form of government for most of humanity. Only the past couple hundred years. When the Greeks invented it, it was called demokratos. But we're moving towards left wing a bit, right? And a lot of it is China, but there's other countries as well. And that worries me. It worries me a lot. And so, I think one of the reasons why the United States pulled out of Afghanistan is because they're refocusing their efforts on anti-communism, so to speak. You can read reports from Stratagus if you want. But it worries me that maybe we're moving a little bit too left wing. And so you have the right to speak up, and complain to your congressperson or MP member of parliament if you're part of the Commonwealth against that sort of thing. Yeah. I don't think it'll come to that, but it does worry me a bit. Yeah. And I'm I'm a positive person, but I'm a realist as well. Yeah. Okay. Christoph wrote, watch Monopoly, Who Owns the World, and watch, let me take a screen print of this one. Okay. And watch Princes of the Yen. See what's been going on in Japan to understand how CBs pump asset values up into the bubble. Yeah. And Japan had kind of their own issue. So the Nikkei reached an all-time high just before 1990. And then the 90s was a lost decade for Japan. And Japan, it's tragic. I love the Japanese economy. I did Japanese equities at Goldman years ago. I worked on, at that point, the biggest IPO in history, which was $18.3 billion NTT Docomo IPO, ticker 9437. But the problem is that in Japan, the birth rate's negative. And there's around 130 million people in Japan. And if this keeps up, then we're going to have only 80 million people in Japan in 30 or 40 years. It's frightening, actually. Yeah. I love Japan. I hold an annual alumni event for my MBA program. And this year we're doing December 18th. I've rented the best museum here. It's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of people are coming from out of town too. It's going to be a blast. But what I want to do is 1 year, I want to be able to do it in Japan. And so next year we might do Barcelona, but I want to do Japan 1 year, and I want to rent part of that Nintendo world. It should be a blast. Yeah. Okay. All right, next up, Edit Solution wrote, Sir, I'm a big fan of your teaching. Thank you. Chris, please. Thank you. Okay. And then Christoph wrote, I've heard that Proton VPN is truly anonymous. They do not store anything. Yeah, I've never tried that. I use ExpressVPN, which has served me well. It's been good. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Renvir wrote, you get the thrill of farming without getting your hand dirty. Okay, I got you. Okay, that was regarding the farm simulation I was talking about earlier. Okay, the thrill of farming. Yeah. The only farming I do in video games is when I play Age of Empires. The Age of Empires Part 4, where you gotta build up a city and farm and go to war and stuff. It's fun. Okay. Next up, Eric wrote, the first farming game was Harvest Moon in 1997 for SNES. Yeah. The most widely, the most popular, I should say, farming game currently is Stardew Valley on all platforms, which is an homage to Harvest Moon. Very cool. Thank you. Yeah. Very cool. All right, give me 1 second here. Okay, so Myron is next. Myron wrote, Chris, how do you manage the time allowed on computer games for your kids? I'm pro computer games, but many people find them a distraction from education and kids. Yeah, it's hard, man. I found that with it's partially COVID. These are my kids here. They're older now, okay, a bit older, and we're all wearing blue today. I got the memo. But this guy here, he's older now. But these two guys during COVID, they had for over a year they had to actually stay home. The public schools weren't open here, and the way they bonded with their friends and each other was these two guys. They would play Fortnite, and I wouldn't let this guy do Fortnite, right? Because it was like guns and stuff. And then eventually he was being kind of alienated by his brothers, and all his buddies were playing Fortnite. So I let him play Fortnite. And then what happened was, and also GTA, I know it's terrible. All his friends play it, and he's old enough to know what's right and not right, although it kind of makes me question my parenting when he comes up to me and he says, "Dad, I just pulled off this awesome heist. You're going to love it. Come check it out." Yeah. But he was being alienated, right? And I think not allowing kids, that's how they socialize, the younger generation, is through video games. That's just how they do it. And what upsets me is in China, for example, it's now against the law to let your kids play video games. Nobody under 18 is allowed to play video games during the week, and on weekend only 1 hour. Like, fuck you. They tell me what to do. You know what I mean? Like, it's not fair. Sorry for swearing there. Especially given the fact that in China, there's a one child per family policy. It's no longer there. But because of COVID, they stay home. Now they can't socialize. Yeah. So I'm okay with it. As long as they, number one, they're respectful of God. Number two, they get good grades. That's all I care about. Then do what you want, sort of thing. Yeah. 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 But I don't, it's different, I guess. My kids are lucky because I'm a gamer as well. Yeah. Okay. JTF2 wrote, I'm starting a supplement company. Okay, cool. We're going to sell through Amazon and try going to local. And I take a lot of supplements, right? A lot. So just vitamins and herbs throughout the day. Yeah. I do a lot of biohacking. And then you said we're going to sell through Amazon, and we're going to try going to small local pharmacies. Any ideas for unique ways that we can get the word out? Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. So I think the best way to advertise your product is to become a thought leader and to vlog a lot. And so what you want to do is you want to create YouTube videos, or you want to write articles every week on supplements, etc., and why it can help enhance your life. And then what you can do is once you write 100 articles on LinkedIn once per week for 2 years, put it into a book, like I mentioned before. And then you can vlog on all 100 of those as well, once per week or whatever it might be. And that's free advertising. But it's, as Gary Vaynerchuk calls it, it's a sharing economy. And you have to give. And if you help others, what happens is there's positive karma involved. And if you give, you'll receive. It's prophetic. It's been true since the beginning of time. So I think your social media strategy is crucial. And you got to have a long view with it. Like, don't just do a couple of videos and see that you don't have any viewers and you give up, right? You got to be committed, right? Help people understand biohacking and how to, enhance their lives through supplements, that sort of thing. Yeah. Talk to your lawyer first, obviously, you know what I mean? But I think that making YouTube videos makes sense. Yeah. And it's fun. Yeah. And it costs you nothing, because YouTube is the only gold rush in history where it costs you nothing to make the product. And YouTube is also the only gold rush in history where you get automatic access to potentially millions of customers for free. Yeah. And then you wrote, we're a Canadian company too, by the way. Awesome. Very cool. Love it. I like it a lot. All right. And then Christoph said, read the fine print on GLD, then PHYS. Yeah. And I guess with GLD, I think it's a reputable company behind it that offers it. Yeah. And when you're investing in GLD, you're investing in the full faith and confidence of the company that makes GLD, kind of like the United States. The United States dollar used to be based on gold. Now it's based on nothing. It's based on the full faith and confidence in the U.S. government. Yeah. That's why I always love to look at management teams. Yeah. And then Christoph wrote, Sprott is the best for commodities, especially gold and silver. Go to their website. No, they're great. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. A lot of Canadian companies are awesome at natural resources because Canada is very wealthy when it comes to natural resources. Yeah. All right. And you'll find that when the price of oil goes up a lot and all commodities, so is the Canadian dollar and the Australian dollar and the Brazilian real. And the reason is because if China, for example, wants to buy commodities from Canada, well, what happens is in order for China to do that, they have to convert their currency, the renminbi, into Canadian dollars, then buy those commodities. And so the increase in demand for the Canadian dollar by Chinese government buying drives up the price of the Canadian dollar. And so again, when it comes to Canadian dollar, Brazilian real, and the Australian dollars, three natural resource rich economies. When natural resources go up in price, so do their currencies as well. And then Mark wrote here, check out Aaron Russo. Let me screen print that. Check out Aaron Russo, producer of Trading Places on Project Camelot show on YouTube. Oh, dude, awesome. Yeah. That was a great movie too with Eddie Murphy, right? That's with on trading options and futures. Yeah, with Dan Aykroyd too, who's a Canadian. A lot of Canadian love today. Okay, next up we got Dowd, who wrote, thanks, Chris. I'm 20 and I feel smarter than 90% of the world by watching awesome people like you on YouTube. Oh, thank you. No, thank you. God bless you for that. Thank you. Yeah, I'm not smart. I remember, man, when I was so insecure. Like I went when I worked at Goldman Sachs years ago. When I first got my job there in my 20s, I came down from Canada and I was terrified. And I remember the only song I heard in my head there was by Nirvana from their MTV Unplugged album, I Think I'm Dumb. And when I was at Goldman, I remember in the training program initially, and I was down there, I thought to myself, okay, Chris, if you don't say anything, people might just think you're dumb. But if you talk, they'll know you're dumb. And I got to a point where I boosted my confidence. And if you're curious on how to boost your confidence, you can sell anything. Join me tomorrow at this webcast, okay? We're going to do a couple of incredible exercises that's going to boost your confidence, and you'll feel really empowered as well. So you can sell anything, including yourself or your products or services. Yeah, it'll be a game changer, I hope. Thank you for that. All right, Antonio how are you, Antonio? Great to see you. So Antonio Ventura, he's in my Platinum MBA program. Great guy. God bless you for the feedback you gave me on the options Excel spreadsheet. I fixed that issue, and I appreciate everything you do. Thank you. And Antonio was on the 2-day event. I had the 20-hour webcast on Friday, Saturday, December 3rd and 4th when I was teaching options. Yeah, you're the best. Thank you. Yeah, I figured it out too, buddy. Yeah, I figured it out. Yeah. All right. And then Antonio wrote, regarding foreign exchange trading, what are the key factors that an investor needs to be aware of? Any thoughts? Yeah, it's hard, man. And I'm not, like, the only reason I think you should trade or transact in the foreign exchange markets, the FX markets, is if you're trying to hedge yourself. Like, let's say that, I don't know, you're like what SAP does is SAP sells in euros, obviously, a German company, but they sell also in dollars in the United States. And they hedge themselves in case the euro falls versus the dollar. So that's the only way I would think about it from that perspective, because trying to predict what a currency is going to do is hard, man. It's tough. Because what you're doing is you're getting fooled by randomness, because changes in currency values relative to others quite often is based on geopolitical events, things you just can't forecast. Yeah. But if you're going to do it, I would read every FX article there is every day at ft.com, the Financial Times. Yeah, and you guys know you can all get the FT for free. If you want me to explain how again, I could show you how. Yeah. I don't have sponsors. All right, and then give me 1 second here. All right, next up I got Sayan, who wrote, hi, Chris. Hey, man. What do you think about the gold standard as the checks on inflation, unbacked, unbalanced lending, government spending, and debt? Yeah. So the U.S. dollar was on the gold, it was based on silver first up until the early 1900s, and then it was based on gold. Now it's based on just confidence in the U.S. government, of which I have a lot. I mean, the United States government, and one of my platinum students, Peyton Kalawahea, told me this. He said the government has increased the amount of currency out there, U.S. government, by about 30% year over year, the M1. It's crazy. And so, governments are forcing us to, invest in other asset classes, which helps the wealth effect, like the stock market, et cetera. Yeah. But I think cash is trash. It's the worst investment you can ever make. Yeah. Yeah. And it's not fair. Like you work your tail off your whole life to make a lot of money, and the government can dilute you. It's just not fair. And so you have to be proactive from an investment perspective and invest globally and in different asset classes. Never just sit on cash. Yeah. Okay. And then Christoph wrote, I don't necessarily relate myself to any particular political party or ideology, because just find some in common with libertarians, like minimal government and live and let live kind of way. Yeah, I believe in small government as well. That's why I loved Ronald Reagan. He was amazing. Best president ever. Yeah, yeah. Small government is great. Yeah. And I also believe in term limits. Yeah, and I wish Canada had that as well. Unfortunately, they don't. Demian, how are you? So Demian's one of my amazing platinum students. He was in the silver MBA program. He upgraded recently to join platinum. He's going to join us on December 10th as well. He's from Mexico originally. He now lives with his wife and daughter in Barcelona. He's a great guy. So Demian wrote, Dear Chris, good morning. Good morning to you too, brother. Like any Thursday, an amazing opportunity and experience to learn. I learn a lot from the question of my students. Yeah, keeps me up to date on current events too. He wrote, thanks for sharing your knowledge. By the way, I'm from Venezuela, not Mexico. Oh, I'm so sorry. I love Mexico too. Big hug, dude. Here's why oh my God, I'm such an idiot. Okay, here's why. The first time I talked to you, I remember I saw your last name and I mentioned Fernando Valenzuela, who is an amazing pitcher from Mexico. That's my bad. And I remember telling you also that you have to buy a Fernando Valenzuela shirt, for jersey for you and your kids. Let me show you here. Fernando Valenzuela. It's the coolest last name ever. Yeah. Here he is. Dude, he was amazing. Like, he was in the early 80s. He was the best baseball pitcher out there by a mile. Somebody's got to make a movie about him as well. He was great. That's right. His manager was Tommy Lasorda. God bless him. Yeah. Tommy Lasorda passed away a couple of years ago. Okay. I'll remember that. Okay. And that's easy to remember because the last name is similar. Venezuela and Valenzuela. Okay. Thank you. Big hug right back at you, brother. Thank you. All right. Christoph wrote, I'm definitely pro-free market capitalism. No government interference. Government should be very minimal in society. I agree. Yeah. But I do think that government, I'm definitely a capitalist, but I think they serve a noble, they have noble intentions, like regulating markets to decrease the amount we get scammed. Yeah. The problem is when you give a body like a government too much power, they don't like giving it up. It's human nature. Yeah. That's why this whole COVID freedoms thing is upsetting to me. Yeah. David Yerman, it's been a couple months. How are you, buddy? So you wrote, I'm in the place to be. Chris, thank you again. You're most welcome. Great to see you. Every time I see your name, I remember my wife who bought fake jewelry that was called David Yerman jewelry. I remember in New York. Yeah. And the ring I gave her for when I proposed was a cubic zirconia, I think, something like that. Yeah. Kidding. All right. Okay, cool. And then Christoph said, but we don't have free market. We have crony capitalism. Yeah. There's no perfect system. Yeah. I do worry about Canada, man. Yeah. Okay. And then Demian wrote, I'm so excited to attend the How to Sell Anything web class tomorrow. Thank you for that. You wrote, you're most welcome. It's going to be fun. Yeah. So I'm challenging myself to teach something different. And then after that, I got to write my graduation speech for the graduation event, which is December 18th. Yeah. Okay, and if you're in the gold or platinum program, and you're going to be in the San Francisco Bay Area, just send and you want to join graduation, just email support@haroonventures.com if you haven't already gotten an email about that. It'll be fun. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, we got Jacques, who wrote, "I'm struggling to understand the role of stable coins. What's the point of a coin that's redundant to fiat? Any thoughts on the role they play?" Yeah. You have to give me an example. If you're talking about Tether, for example, it's kind of used as a placeholder to convert from one crypto to another. Yeah. And then Christoph wrote, "Yeah, me too. I wish I was American Chris. No, I'd move to Texas or Florida too. Yes. Yeah, don't mess with Texas. I wish Texas brought their damn tax code to California. Yeah. Yeah, and Florida's got great taxes too, and it's basically you're Canadian, so Florence is la deuxième belle province. It's the 11th province. Yeah, yeah. I'm proud of my heritage. Yeah. But I do wish that I do worry about a bit about socialism up there. Yeah. I don't think it's going to get there. Okay. I just wish there were term limits, and that's not me saying I'm pro PC which is progressive conservatives, or pro liberals. Yeah, definitely anti NDP, massively anti NDP, which is basically the Communist Party in Canada. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and Tony Robbins. So he used to live in California for years, and taxes just got crazy. He's like, screw it, and so he moved to Florida because of that. Yeah. Yeah, and I'm noticing a lot of my friends here, man, in the tech sector, like they're moving to Florida, they're moving to Texas as well. Like Austin's going to become a big powerhouse. Yeah. Yeah, you vote with your feet. I'm staying here though for now. My kids are in great public schools. Yeah. Okay, and then Paulina wrote VARX tech. Let me know what that means. I'm so sorry. Okay. All right. Christoph wrote, "How risky do you think that these options are for people to store their Bitcoin in one of these entities that pays an 8 to 10% dividend?" Yeah. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that. Let me know if that's an investment vehicle, and if it has a ticker, let me know. I can look it up here and do a quick analysis on it for you if you want. Yeah. And then you wrote something about people borrowing money off their Bitcoin. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. That's like margin. That's dangerous. Yeah, never. I'd never do it. Yeah, it's kind of like when you open an options account and you want to transact in options, you have to open a margin account as well in case you. I won't go there, but if you want, I can talk about options in more detail. Yeah, but I'm definitely not a fan of doing anything involving leverage when it comes to stocks. Yeah, or cryptos. And a lot of hedge funds went belly up in the fall of 2008 because they were massively levered. Okay, meaning for every dollar they had in assets, they had many dollars invested in the market. Dangerous, and derivative products are even more dangerous. And Warren Buffett called them derivatives financial weapons of mass destruction, which I talk about my options course in a lot more detail. Yeah. Okay. And then Julian, hey Julian, wrote, "Hey Chris, what do you think of the space industry? And thanks for the great content as always." Yeah. No, thank you for that. It's hard to invest in. I'm definitely bullish longer term. There aren't that many pure plays. I think SpaceX is going to be the first notable IPO in that sector. I'm bullish. That's the kind of stock that will do well in the long run, but won't have profits forever. Yeah. It's the final frontier, I guess. Yeah. Or they say Africa is the final frontier here on Earth. Yeah, the next big market to invest in. But no, I'm all for it. I just don't know of that many investments that are tied to space. Yeah, I've looked a lot and done a lot of due diligence over the years when I worked in venture capital on satellite-based companies. Yeah. And then Christoph wrote, this growing space sector, it looks like it could go to the moon. I love it. I love my students to the moon and back. Yeah. Julian, thanks for the high five. Right back at you, buddy. Okay. And then Christoph wrote, I own stock in a Canadian company that hasn't been IPO'd yet. It's called Maritime Launch. Oh, cool. You got it. You got in. Yeah. My first notable investment was when I was younger. I was, I think I was 19 or so. I started a lawn care company, and don't do this, but I started a lawn care company, just cutting grass. Obviously, it's pretty easy, which was fun. But I got a loan. I remember a student venture capital loan from the Canadian government, right? And I got that loan. It was $3,000 interest free. They gave me the money in March, or no, it was in May of 1990 when I graduated high school. Actually, I was 18. Yeah. And then what I did was I started my company. I bought lawnmowers, $3,000 interest free loan. 6 months later, I was supposed to pay it back. I didn't. What I did was I invested in this. It was my first venture capital investment. This company called Spectral Diagnostics, and the ticker used to be SDI, which people joke stands for Speculative Doctors Incorporated. But it was private. I sold it when it went public. I had a good exit. But yeah, that was my private investment in Canada. Yeah, and I've been approached a lot to invest in marijuana companies that are private in Canada, tons over the years. I just can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it because, winners don't do drugs. Champions do. I just can't do it. Yeah. But I do believe in medicinal marijuana. Yeah. And then Jacques wrote, for example, why use Tether when it's just as easy to convert a US dollar and trade your asset? What's its value proposition? If cash is trash, why park it in a duplicate of it? Yeah. So on some cryptocurrency exchanges, you can't just convert US dollar and buy cryptos. So a lot of times what you do is, because Tether is accepted in a lot of places, you could convert it into Tether and then use the Tether to buy another crypto. Yeah, it's like getting a calling card. Yeah, it's just a means for transacting from going from cash to Tether to something to crypto, because you can't just use dollars to buy cryptos on many websites. You can't. Yeah. Like I'll show you an example. So I looked into this company. So I'm going to go to the website of Topps, okay, which they make hockey cards and baseball cards, and they're going to actually. I did a really interesting vlog actually on Topps, and I show you what's happening with Topps and NFTs, right? So basically, what's happening is Topps they got into the NFT market, okay, and I explained NFTs in more detail through that, and then here they had to cancel their IPO because Major League Baseball just canceled their contract with Topps, which they've had since the 1950s. But anyway, I went here to buy to buy NFTs. Right, everyone's getting into it. Smart, actually. Yeah. And Michael Eisner, who's a big investor in Topps, he's so pissed off that that Major League Baseball didn't re-sign with them. Yeah. Eisner used to run Disney forever. Yeah. So you can buy NFTs here, but the way to buy Topps-based NFTs is you have to use a special cryptocurrency. That's the 86 Topps. Yeah. You have to enter a certain cryptocurrency, and then what you do after you enter, you have to use Wax, which is the name of a crypto, which is an homage to Wax Packs. So I think it was wax.io where I got them. Yeah, here it is here, blockchain. Yeah. And this will explain Tether in more detail. Now, before you can buy a lot of these NFT sports cards, you have to use a crypto called Wax. And in order to get the Wax crypto, you can't just enter a credit card or convert US dollar to it. What you have to do is you have to use a cryptocurrency to buy Wax. And so Tether is just kind of a placeholder to be able to do that, so to speak. Yeah. Another Canadian, William Shatner. All right. Okay. Next up, the British Empire wrote, man, I really love your videos. I learned a lot from your videos. Thanks a lot. Thank you. I appreciate it. And I play as the British Empire now in Age of Empires Part 4. It's awesome. You get to learn about history as well when you play that game. Okay. Next up, we got Christoph, who wrote, Chris, which exchange is best for Canadians to buy cryptos? Yeah. I don't know. I mean, Coinbase, I guess. Yeah. Coinbase is great. I don't really know of any that are just focused on Canada. I know ones that are more international focused, yeah. All right, next up, Mark wrote, Stephen Cohen. And for those of you not familiar with Stephen Cohen started a big hedge fund called SAC, which stands for Stephen Alexander Cohen, which did incredibly well, and then the government shut them down because of insider information. And they called me a number of times and tried to hire me. And I remember I went up to Connecticut to interview with them, just because I was curious. Not that I want to work there, right? But I remember I went up there. I walked through the parking lot, and there was Ferraris everywhere with 20-something-year-olds. And then I walked into the front lobby, and I had to walk in Connecticut at their headquarters. I walked through a shark that was cut up in pieces. Remember, people did that art, bizarre art, shark. And then I walked in for the interview, and they tried to get me to give them information on what my hedge fund I worked at the time, owned. And I'm like, screw you. So you wrote here, Stephen Cohen had to leave SAC Capital, but he owns 0.72 Asset Management. Yeah, I have a lot of friends there. And I said, and he wrote, I thought he was banned from trading, could only trade his own money. Yeah, I don't know the loophole there. Of course, he bought the New York Mets. I don't know the loophole. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah. Excellent. Christoph wrote, thanks for your time. Well, thank you all. So I'm going to wrap it up here. I want to thank you all for your time. For those of you in my gold and platinum MBA degree program, I will see you at 11:20 my time in about 20 minutes for our gold and platinum office hours. I also have a bunch of one-on-ones with a lot of my platinum students today. I'd love to have y'all come to my event tomorrow on how to sell anything. You could see it right down here, how to sell anything. Here's the web address right here. It's reversed, yeah. If you found this was helpful, please like and subscribe. My vlogs drop every day at 8 or 9 a.m. my time. God bless you all. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy. Have a wonderful rest of your week, and I'll see you next Thursday. And almost every Thursday, I'm going to be taking a couple weeks off for Christmas vacation. Yeah, thanks, guys. Take care. Again, I'd love to see you tomorrow. All right, thanks. Thanks, Jacques. Thanks, David. Thanks, Christoph. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate it. Take care. Thank you. And as I always do, I end it with this video that I licensed from the Silicon Valley Historical Association.
When you grow up, you tend to get told that the world is the way it is, and your life is just to live your life inside the world, try not to bash into the walls too much, try to have a nice family life, have fun, save a little money. But life, that's a very limited life. Life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact, and that is everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you. And you can change it. You can influence it. You can build your own things that other people can use. And the minute that you understand that you can poke life and actually something will, if you push in, something will pop out the other side, that you can change it, you can mold it, that's maybe the most important thing, is to shake off this erroneous notion that life is there and you're just going to live in it, versus embrace it, change it, improve it, make your mark upon it. I think that's very important. And however you learn that, once you learn it, you'll want to change life and make it better, because it's kind of messed up in a lot of ways. Once you learn that, you'll never be the same again.